Professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th Raj, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same.
घंटी बजी
Jingle, 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 jingle.
बस आज का
Jingle, 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 jingle.
चल करें थोड़े
Single, 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 single.
क्योंकि तू है
Single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
First India tour in your city. Rock on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new water show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions.
The expert advice. The latest trends. It's a lot.
Hello and welcome back to NDTV Profit. You're watching Ask Profit, a show that solves all your stock related queries, and on a day like this it becomes very important. So do start sending them on the numbers that are flashing on the top of the screen. You can also call us for your stock related query as well. My name is Puneet Zaveri. With me as always is Mahima Vachajani, and we'll try and get your queries solved very quickly. So start sending them. It's an important day. The Sensex down almost 1400 points as we speak, and we continue to have the stress from the global perspective very visible on the index. At 78,000, the Nifty 50 also at 24,400. It's a figure that we haven't spoken too much about, and very important levels as well. The lows on the budget day was 24,600, and we saw some buying from that level, and we are back at considering those levels as well. So what was earlier in support at around 25,000 has now become the resistance level, and continue to monitor all of these key levels. When you look at the heat map for the Nifty 50, there is devil in the details as well, because you continue to see pressure yet again on Larsen and Toubro. Almost 37% of its order book coming in from the Middle East. 55% of it is fixed price, so there could be some impact on margins. Unfortunately, the metal names are also not supporting the Nifty 50. So Tata Steel is down in trade today. Indigo continuing to be under pressure. Tata Motors PV, we were flashing that the data from Jaguar as well as Land Rover is very weak in the month of January and continues to be under pressure as well. Ultratech down 4%, back at the 12,000 mark. Grasim, SBI Life, Titan, Max Health all down in trade today as well. So you're almost seeing 43 stocks in the red, and the ones in the green are also not too high. Only between 0 to 0.5 are almost 5 stocks there. So almost 48 stocks, not rather just in under pressure, flat or in red. And you also look at the sectoral heat map, it'll give you that perspective. The Nifty Auto, which was under pressure on Friday, has continued to be relatively under pressure today as well, down 2.8%. Maybe profit booking from a lot of investors where they've made money, trying to limitate or mitigate their losses at this point of time. The metal index down almost 4%. PSU Bank, Realty, Media all down in red. So essentially with Nifty IT, which is barely in the green round and was at up almost 0.5%, has also given up those gains. But Mahima, broader markets also showing you that pain today.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Except for defense, all the sectors are down over that 1% mark, and that's not something that you see every day, right? So that's, I mean, it's just bloodbaths in the markets for sure. But the mid cap 150 and the small cap 250 as well. The mid cap 150 is down over 2%. The small cap 250 also down over 2%. So underperforming the benchmarks by a bit. let's try to quickly pull up the BSE 500 because it's also a very stock specific market, and also the advanced decline ratio if we can, because the other day we saw that picture of 200 odd advances. Today it's around 330, but the picture still does not look good because that graph is widening by the hour. So that is concerning. The BSE 500 quickly, because a lot of stocks that are under pressure, some stocks kind of making up for the pressure. Tejas Networks today also up about 4%. Praj Industries, Sri Renuka. So sugar as a theme is doing fairly well. Polymedicure also up by about 4%. But on the flip side, look at that. Rain Industries as well as Petronet LNG both down 10% each, followed by MGL, L&T, Tata Steel, SAIL. So two Nifty 50 names in that BSE 500 as well. So that's the mood of the market right now. But with that, let's also welcome in our guest for the day, Vaishali Parekh, Vice President, Technical Research at Prabhudas Lilladher Capital, and Avinash Gorakshakar, Founder and Head of Research at Avinash Mental Research Services, joining us now. Vaishali, before I quickly go on to the questions that we have, your quick view on the markets right now. What is the support and resistance that now you will be marking now that we are below the 24,500 levels as well?
Very good morning, all of you. So yes, market has shown a good downside move. So technical support to an extent can come towards 24,200 to 24,000 levels. But if these levels also break, then I think I won't be surprised market going towards 23,000 also. So it's a wait and watch scenario. Bias is corrective. Bank Nifty also showing erosion. So I think overall it's a corrective thing. But 24,000 level on a broad base is the level to watch.
Got that view, Vaishali, and I'm guessing Vaishali will be very busy today with a lot of stock-related queries that we are getting, especially where the pain is. But the first question, it's very pertinent. Reliance Industries is the first one. Mohit from Ludhiana is actually asking this question, asking if it's actually advisable to buy into this counter right now. Avinash, good morning. Welcome to the show. Probably this counter is back in focus and given up a lot of those gains. So the momentum was just building in, and then we've seen this geopolitical impact on Reliance right now. You also seen the Jio IPO impending, some holding company discount coming in already. But how do you view Reliance right now? And is it advisable to enter this counter, is what Mohit is asking?
Yeah. Good morning, Puneet. See, I think Reliance Industries, the stock has got impacted largely because, oil prices have surged. Obviously Brent prices the way they are. Obviously, if there is a kind of a spike in oil prices, that means that there is definitely going to be some margin pressure for Reliance, although it's one of the most efficient and modern refineries. Our sense is that, in these prices, maybe in the short term, the volatility will continue till maybe a month's time. Our sense is that, this war possibly could get over in the next 25 to 30 odd days. And if it happens, then I think you're going to see a good bounce in Reliance. So I think, investors who have the kind of, appetite to take a little bit of risk can obviously chip in. I think they can probably buy a little bit of quantity at the current level and wait for things to clear. I think fundamentally nothing is wrong, but I think if oil prices continue to remain elevated above $85, $90 a barrel and this war continues for more than a month, then I think problems could, further accelerate. So I think net, one should hold on. Fresh buying is only advisable for, investors who can take a 12 to 15 month call. I think these short-term uncertainties will definitely clear away. But in the longer term, I think the structural story seems to be quite solid.
All right. So that's the view coming in on Reliance. We've got our first caller for the day. Kishore is calling us from Bengaluru. Kishore, hi, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Hi, Mahima. Very good morning and happy Holi to you.
Thank you so much.
I have a question on...
Wishing you the same as well.
Yes, thank you very much. So I have a query on the TARL. So recently I heard the conversation from the management as well, and the comments from the management was excellent. I also looked up the fundamentals before I purchased the stock. PE is very good and attractive. Valuation seems to be amazing, and the order book is twice, almost 2 times the market cap. But I'm worried about the legal issues what the company is facing. So I'm wondering what's the future outlook for, let's say, 2 to 3 years.
Okay, Kishore, got your question, and I really appreciate that you've done your research so well. So kudos to that. Avinash, I'll take this up with you. His concerns are valid. What's your viewpoint from a slightly long-term perspective for TARL?
I think in this market, the market does not look at fundamentals. They look at more on the sentiment side. And I think, despite the fact that, I think there are some legal issues pending, the most important thing is transformers as an industry is growing very rapidly. there's a huge pent up demand for transformers, and we have come to know that almost every transformer player is operating at peak level capacity. So demand is growing. So I think in the near term, these factors could play an overhang on the stock. But if the investor has a 12 to 18-month kind of time frame, then think he needs to hold on. In fact, he can even average at the current levels because it's a good company, a good management which is able to scale up the business. So I think continue to hold, but yes, take a long-term view.
Got it. Got that view, Avinash. Now it's a difficult time that we're going through, but it's also one that company has listed today. PNGS Reva Diamond actually listed at a 4% discount, making a softer debut. And we had a chance to speak to the management of the company. Let's very quickly listen into what they had to say on their IPO listing, as well as what they are seeing going forward. Listen in.
My first question to you is that, largely these proceeds will be used for opening 15 new stores that you're aiming at. Give us some perspective as to how, the timeline is looking for adding all of these 15 stores, and what is the format going to be for these stores, and overall, when do you start expecting these to, start generating money as well for you?
So it will be mainly COCO kind of stores, company owned, company operated. And 15 stores will be in Maharashtra as well as in north part of the Maharashtra. Presently we have got SIS model working in 33 location of the PN Gadgil Sons Limited, our promoter company. One EBO is already there in Pune, and EBOs will create a brand awareness and footprint in the pan India. Secondly, there is a more inclination towards the studded jewelry nowadays. For last 2 years, we are observing that there is a larger number of people are getting attracted to the studded jewelry, and that studded is a natural diamond jewelry, which gets studded in the 18 karat or 14 karat of the gold with natural diamond. So that inclination, growing market for this diamond jewelry, we have planned to expand through the exclusive brand that is a Reva Diamond. Instead of going with the full-fledged 360-degree jewelry store, we concentrating on the diamond jewelry now.
Got it. Amit, the other aspect, right now, like you mentioned, I think out of 34 or 35 odd stores, almost 33 is SIS, that is shop in shop. Now, via adding these 15 new stores, you will, kind of become a little more independent and not depend on your parent company. Just wanted to understand that, let's say 2 or 3 years down the line, where does this 15 store number go to? How will the mix fare between, SIS as well as the company owned stores?
SI is a passive thing. So commenting exactly on its number is very difficult, but parent company generally set up 1 or 2 store every year, and so that SIS number will go up slowly. But these 15 number EBOs with existing one EBO, even if we keep present SIS as it is, it will be a share of 33-66%, and it depends how things gets on expanding or developing. So EBOs will definitely have almost a better half side of the entire organization and less dependency on the SI stores which are of the promoter company. But promoter company's SI stores at present are doing extremely well, and they have got good SSG growth also, which we have seen from 24 to 25. So that SSG growth will improve the SIS top line, plus additional top line will come from these 15 stores. So there will be better top line, and if better top line is there, better bottom line also.
So that was the management of PNGS Reva Diamonds, the recent listing coming in, got listed at a discount of 3%, so not as bad as how the markets are doing right now, still down by about 3%. But with that, let's continue with the query. Sanjay is calling us from Gujarat. Sanjay, a very good morning to you. What is your query about?
A very good morning to you also.
Good morning,
and
Sanjay. Go ahead.
Happy New to all your viewers and you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Wishing you the same.
Yeah. I have 154 shares of Arvind Limited at the rate 154. Holding from 22 year 2022. What can I do now? It's a deal of America is completed. The share is going up to 380 rupees. But then it is coming down and down. So what could I do? Sold or hold?
Got it, Sanjay. Got your question. I'll take this up with Vaishali quickly. Vaishali is sitting on significant profits because his buying price is 150. The stock is currently trading at 330, but it's come back from 380 is what he's saying. Do you think he should book his partial profits or maybe full profits or continue to hold?
Yeah, the fact is that in spite of a market like this, it's still holding on very well. But one never knows because of these geopolitical issues, how much more pain are we looking at. So better partial profit booking should be done at these levels. And if the stock falls again at around 310 to 290, you can again re-enter the stock.
Got that view, Vaishali. But the next question that's coming in is from Siju from Qatar, who was a regular viewer, and I hope everything's all good, Siju, at your end. He's currently holding 30 shares of CDSL, bought at 1244. And if he's asking if it's a good time to average this, and since his horizon is almost 3 to 5 years, Avinash, would you recommend this?
Yeah, I think, Puneet, these are basically annuity businesses where, the business continues, because stock markets definitely will survive, and I think, transactions will happen. So CDSL is like a player which has got a virtual annuity kind of business model, not an asset heavy kind of business model. So I think if he's got this kind of time horizon, he can definitely add. But I think I would suggest, even if he wants to add, I think do it in a SIP way, because we don't know how the markets would perform going forward. And if at all there is a price drop even from current level, then he can average out, if he adopts a SIP approach.
Okay, all right. The next question that we have is from Venkat Ramani, who is writing us from Bengaluru, asking about Eternal. She's holding 1,000 shares at the levels of 218, wants to know if she can buy more or continue to hold this for the next 12 months. Vaishali, your view on the charts?
I would say Eternal has done with its correction. I don't see much of a downside from these levels. So I would say start accumulating from here on, at every dip. And I think you will see a good turnaround very soon.
Got that view, Vaishali. But the next question, it's on Bajaj Finserv, and Vanita Bala actually writing in from Kuwait, and I hope everything's good at her end also, because she's been a regular viewer of the show. She's holding 15 shares. She's not mentioned the buying price, but asking if it's a good time to accumulate this counter now. Vaishali, actually I'm going to stick with you, because stock went to 2100 and now has rebounded back to the 1800 mark. Would you advise a good time to accumulate this counter now?
Wait for a while, because right now it is at a make or break levels. 1850 is the support. So if we see a break in this, I think 1700 I would be comfortable to start buying. So if trading is not the idea, then I would say buy to 20 to 30% right now. And if it drops to around 1700 levels, I think add more.
Okay, all right. So that's the view on Bajaj Finserv. We've got our next caller. Benson is calling us from Mumbai. Benson, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly. Go ahead and ask your query.
Yeah, you corrected my name correctly. So my query is on Enviro Infra Engineers. I purchased this almost a year ago at a 344 rate, and I purchased 1255 shares that time. But it has been going down since then. So just wanted to know your view on this.
Okay, I take this up with Avinash. Avinash is sitting on a loss of around 2.5 lakh rupees. What should he do on Enviro Infra?
I think, my guess is that he's probably purchased it at the peak level. The company has an order book of almost 3,500 crores. And I think, in the EPC business, especially the water business, the business has been consistently growing. So I think, the market sentiment has been bad, and that is why the stock has been beaten down. But I think fundamentals continue to be quite solid. So unless he gives a time horizon of say 12 to 18 months and he averages his cost, because he's almost 50% minus on his capital, unless and until that is done, one cannot expect a very decent risk reward. So I think start, accumulating slowly and try to reduce your average cost and keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months.
Got that view of Avinash, but the next question, it's a very pertinent one in today's context on Rain Industries. Now, Siva from Amravati is actually holding 10,000 shares of this company, bought at 178. Stock's trading at 128 now. So he's almost sitting at a loss of, unfortunately, almost 5 lakh rupees as we speak. Vaishali, he's actually mentioned specifically that he can hold only for 3 months. But what would you suggest for Rain Industries at this point of time? Is there any chance of it coming back, hopefully close to the buying price to reduce his losses or average down? What would you recommend?
Well, so the trend is really getting damaged. So keep now 125 as stop loss, because if we see a close below that, then this is going to trigger a further selling pressure. So it's better to book out if trading is the perspective. Keep stop loss of 125, because right now we've already seen good erosion. So in all likelihood, if market shows some signs of bounce back and we can see some retracement coming in, but otherwise the trend is getting weaker.
Okay, the next one is on Nestle. Nihal Mohandas from Mumbai is asking this question. He's holding 350 odd shares at the levels of 1150. Wants to know as to what price can he sell this counter at. Vaishali, I'll stick with you for this one. 35,000 of profit is what he's sitting on. What's the view like?
I would say continue holding, but keep a trailing stop loss of 1220.
Got that view, Vaishali. But the next question that's also coming in, and it's slightly more open-ended, and in today's market, what we are seeing, hence we are taking this question from Dhananjay. Avinash is actually asking that if in this volatile market, what can he do? Should he hold on or book profits or add investments? I know it's a very open-ended question, but we are seeing, the counters that have actually done well, Avinash, like auto, like metals, have started to see some pullback now. Investors may be booking profits. Would that be a strategy that you would recommend, Dhananjay, as well? What would you suggest?
No, I think, I think whenever you invest in these kind of drawdowns, the alpha creation is very solid. But I think it requires a little bit of time and patience. And I think investors who have a short-term view should not enter the markets. But investors who have got a 12 to 18 month kind of time frame, could look at buying large cap stocks like Mahindra and Mahindra, or for that reason, even something like a NSDL. These are businesses which are not going to be wiped out by short-term events. So I think, you got to be a little more patient and a little more realistic when you talk about investments. In this market, when everything is going against you, it's only such kind of businesses which will do well. So I think keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months and invest in these kind of large cap, because these businesses are not going to get over. Business will come back as usual once the clarity happens, once the war ends. And I think that is something which the markets will obviously get a clear reflection. You'll see a very sharp bounce back in the markets once there's a clear signal that the war has ended.
Okay, all right. But just shifting focus for a bit and trying to understand as to what cues are shaping up in the F&O market. And we have Sharad joining us and standing by as always to give us that perspective. Sharad?
Well, we can see a big sell-off happening, and of course the large, you could say 200 DMA levels, and even you could say much more of the numbers are on the downtick, and there hasn't been any major change, still down 2% when it comes to Sensex. A sea of red coming in, but L&T and Tata Steel, that's where the concern is there. Ultratech, all these stocks in the red, barring Infosys and Tech Mahindra, which is there from the tech space. Only Bharti Airtel comes in the green, and BEL also there, but majority we see a sea of red coming in, no major Nifty. You could say the Sensex heavyweights actually not doing much. BankX also the story remains same. SBI is down almost 2.5%. ICICI Bank and Bank of Baroda also in the red as well. Let's look at the key long build up. Largely nothing much. Coal India and solar industries, defense stocks is something where the street is finding some solace right now. Short covering for Jubilant Foodworks and Infosys. Just look at Infosys, not so much in Jubilant Foodworks. And long unwinding, let's see what's happening here. SAIL and IOC make it to the list, largely on the reactions coming from the Middle East tensions, and Tata Steel and Petronet LNG. That's where a big short build-up is happening. You should look at Petronet LNG, that's down almost 9%. So of course, the entire market is moving on the geopolitical tensions. Not much for stock-specific news flow today.
Thanks so much for that, Sharad. But time now for the rapid fire round in this edition of Fast Profit. Vaishali as well as Avinash, you know the drill. The first question that's coming in is from Manohar. He's asking, between NSDL and CDSL, what's a better long-term opportunity, Avinash?
I think CDSL would be a better choice.
Okay, the next one is from Lakshmi, is writing us from Hyderabad, asking if she can go ahead and invest 1 lakh rupees either in ICICI, Axis or HDFC. Avinash, which one would you pick?
I think ICICI Bank.
DCS system bought actually at 245 by Sriram. Should he continue to hold for the next 1 year, Avinash?
Yeah, he can continue to hold.
Muthoot Finance bought at the levels of 3153. Khurshid from Delhi wants to know if this is a good time to add more shares. Vaishali, your view?
Accumulate.
Aadhar HFC actually been held by Prakash at 324. Should he continue to hold, Vaishali?
Which one is that?
Aadhar Housing Finance.
Hold.
Okay, the next one is on Force Motors. Gauri Gupta wants to know if this is a good price to buy for the next 6 to 9 months. Vaishali, your view?
20,000 is a good support level. Buy accordingly.
Interglobe Aviation, Avinash, Rajesh Maheshwari, who's a regular viewer, is holding at 3730 over 100 shares. Should he book out, take his profit and come back at a later time?
No, I think he should continue to hold.
Okay, Tata Steel. Is this the right time to buy for the next 2 years? Avinash, your view?
Yeah, I think around 180, 190 could be a good price to enter.
Is it a good time to enter Tata Chemicals and hold it for the long term, Avinash?
No, I think Tata Chemicals, I think one should wait for a couple of quarters. As of now, no buying advice.
Okay, Deep Industries is the next one. The viewers got 35 shares at the levels of 478. Jassi, by the way, is asking this question. Wants to know from an 8 to 9 month perspective, can he continue to hold? Vaishali, your view?
A hold.
Is it a good time to re-enter BSC for K Kumar is what K Guru actually is asking this question. He had earlier bought her at 3,100. Vaishali?
Accumulate.
Okay, can I buy Paras Defense at the current level is the question that we have from one of our viewers. Vaishali, your view?
Buy.
Suman's holding DLF, bought at 608. Avinash, should he continue to hold?
Yeah, he can continue to hold.
Okay, the next one is on Tata Motors, commercial vehicles. Is this a good time to buy? Shankar from Bengaluru is asking. Avinash, your view?
Yeah, I think he could look at buying in a SIP way, but definitely buying advisable.
Apollo Microsystems bought at 238. Avinash, should our viewer continue to hold?
Yeah, she should continue to hold.
Okay, NTPC for the next 5 years. Is this a good hold, Avinash?
So I think in power generation, I think Tata Power or maybe something like a Torrent Power could be better.
Is it a right time to enter Suzlon, Vaishali?
Yes.
Is this the right time to enter Wipro? Is the question that's coming from Madesh, who's writing us from Tamil Nadu. Vaishali, your view?
I would say go on for persistent or things like that.
All right. Okay. Okay, so that's the view coming in on Wipro. But with that, viewers, that brings us to the end of first rapid fire round. But we'll take up more on the other side of the break. So do stay tuned.
True love is lifelong, isn't it? Just like Tata Power Solar Roof, best quality solutions, lifelong service guarantee and unmatched expertise. ये on तो quality lifelong.
ये हाथ केवल हल नहीं चलाते, मिट्टी से सोना उगाते हैं। ये हाथ केवल सिलाई नहीं करते, देश को नया रूप देते हैं। ये हाथ लोगों को उनकी मंजिल तक पहुंचाते हैं और इन्हें हम आसानी से लोन देकर अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। कैप्री लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है
Where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देख पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज करता हूँ।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decision. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your Automate.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame.
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit right here on NDTV Profit. The next question that's coming in is on ITC. Now, our viewer Madhav from Hyderabad is holding 133 shares at 364. So he's currently sitting on a loss, asking a long-term view. Avinash, you know, the theme likely a little changed now, right? It's more like a defensive play now in this wartime that we are seeing. Do you think that still doesn't make the cut, given what we see in the industry, the increase in tax rates? What would you recommend right now?
No, I think Puneet, at these levels, the downside for ITC looks, almost discounted in the price, and I think the company has also taken some price hikes, so that also could possibly help them regain their margins, possibly not in the March quarter, but at least in the April to June quarter. So my suggestion is that he needs to hold on for the next 12 to 18 months. This is a defensive play, and in this kind of market offers a little better protection as compared to the other alpha, high beta names. So definitely hold on, but I think he could also average if he wants, but take a 12 to 18 month view.
Okay, so that's a constructive view coming in for ITC. But we've got our next caller. Geeta is calling us from Bengaluru. Geeta, hi. A very good morning to you. What's your query about?
Yeah, I'm holding Anantaraj 61 shares at the rate of 518.
Okay.
So is it good time to add more? This is for a long term, maybe 1.5 years or so. So can it give a good returns in long period?
Sure. I'll ask your question to Avinash. Avinash, everything, all buzz going around data centers has, kind of made this stock pretty volatile. What's the view like?
No, I think, investors who invest in this stock, I think, need to take a slightly longer term view. The stock has been under pressure. But one thing is very clear, that this is one of those, rare companies which has got a mix of real estate and data center business. On the data center business, they are putting up a 300 megawatt data center capacity in, North India. And I think demand is growing very rapidly. The government has also announced that by till 2047, these centers could get tax benefits. So my sense is that if the investor, buys in at the current level, which is currently weak, he needs to take at least a 12 to 18 month or maybe a 2-year view, because data center business is going to grow rapidly. In the short term, there could be volatility, but in the longer term, the business fundamentals continue to be very rock solid.
Got that view, Avinash. But the next question that we're getting is on HAL, another stock that's been down and out in that sense. And, Vinayak actually writing in from Dubai, hope all is well, Vinayak, at your end as well, is holding shares at 4120. Now, Vaishali, he's already holding 30 shares, asking if he should add more at this juncture. Would you recommend that trade?
No, I would say so, because HAL technically 3800, 3500 is a very good support band. So I would say that yes, a lot of erosion has taken place. Start buying from here at every dip.
Right, so that's the view coming in on HAL. We've got our next caller. Ajay is calling us from Mumbai. Ajay, what's your question about?
My question is about Sai Life Sciences.
Okay.
I've taken 300 shares and I'm looking forward to accumulate. Is it a good share? Because I find a good chart structure of this share and as well as fundamentally it's very sound. I would like to have both technical and fundamental view on this.
Okay, I'll take this up with Vaishali first. Vaishali, your view on the charts?
Yes, of course. Theoretically, it looks very promising and already gone high. So I would not be so very aggressive to buy at these levels, but I would rather wait for a dip, maybe around 900 level. That would be making me feel comfortable to, if long term is the perspective, and look for higher targets because the trend is very good.
Got that. Sorry, you are.
Yeah, Avinash, any view on this one? Because he wanted a fundamental view as well.
Yeah, I think here, unless the investor is a long-term investor and can take the volatility in his stride, I don't think in the short term the stock has got any near-term trigger. But yes, if we can hold on for the next, say, 18 to 24 months, a couple of years, I think then a decent risk reward can be expected.
Got that view, Avinash. But Aarti Industries is another counter that we're focusing on, and Akshay from Mumbai is holding 45 shares of this counter, bought at 462. Now, Avinash, actually, let me come back to you on this one. Been a volatile counter in that sense. What would you recommend for Aarti Industries at this point of time?
No, again, it's a long-term kind of call, Puneet. I think, these kind of companies have got a very solid order book, a very good revenue visibility. But in the light of the, the geopolitical kind of tensions, there is a possibility that in the short term, the stock could underperform. But yes, in terms of fundamentals, I think the chemical sector is turning around. They have a very good large order book. So I think one can take a long-term view, provided one can face the volatility in the short term.
Okay, the next one is from Ishwar, who's writing us from Kolkata, asking about Avanti Feeds. He says he's a long-term investor, wants to know if he can go ahead and invest in this counter at the current level or some mid-cap stock, to build up his portfolio. Avinash, I'll stick with you for this one. Avanti Feeds or any other mid-cap stocks that you're liking right now?
No, I think Avanti Feeds is a good company, but at these levels, I think fresh buying is not advisable. I think we continue to be positive, Mahima, on the banks, specifically the PSU banks. Something like a Canara Bank or maybe a Bank of Maharashtra. These businesses are more safer and less volatile, and I think it's business as usual in India. So I don't think businesses or quarterly numbers for these companies are going to be impacted. So I think rather than putting your money on something which has got a large exposure on the US market, a Canara Bank at the current levels or maybe a Bank of Maharashtra would be definitely be good choices both for the short to medium term.
Avanti Feeds is a very interesting counter in that sense because traded between 400 and 600 for almost 4 years till the FTA started to come, and since then a one-way rally for this counter. The 5-year chart of course reflects that, but the 1-year chart will tell you the real picture for Avanti Feeds as well. But another caller actually coming in on Suzlon now, and Ram from Andhra Pradesh has this particular question. Ram, good morning, welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Ram.
Now I am holding 20,000 shares of Suzlon at the rate of 48. Can I average at what rate I have to average this company?
And Ram, can you hold on to this counter for a little while, or are you looking to just average out to reduce your losses? So I can take that question then with Vaishali if it's a good time to average. Would that be okay?
Okay.
Vaishali, you had suggested, I think, the rapid fire round that it's an interesting one to look at now, but he's already holding 20,000 shares at 48, down almost a lakh and a half. What price can you look at to enter now?
So I would say technical support is at 36, 38 levels, and we are pretty much close to that. So if fundamentally the view matches, I think this is a good level to start buying again to lower down your cost.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Suzlon. We've got our next question from Mr. Kumar, who's writing us from Bengaluru, asking about L&T. He wants to know if he can, kind of know an entry price for this particular counter. Avinash, I'll come to you on this one because it has exposure to the Middle East to a lot of extent. To a lot of extent, it's been falling since the past, couple of days since the war news has come in. What should an investor do right now who's holding L&T, and do you think this is a price that one can enter into?
No, I think for an investor, L&T is a kind of a company which can give very good returns over the next, say, 12 to 18 months. So I think, the near-term volatility is something which investors have to obviously face in this market. So they should continue to hold. I don't think they should do any panic sell-off unless they require some emergency kind of funding. And as far as new buying is concerned, I think between 3,500 to 3,800 it could be a good level where one could start buying. I think one cannot predict the price exactly, but around 3,500 to 3,800 is a good level where one can start nimbling, maybe do a small SIP kind of buying approach. That would definitely give a better risk reward in the longer term.
Avinash, you don't expect any kind of margin impact because of the fixed nature of its orders, because that's been one of the key concerns, right? Because while the order book is more long-term in nature, there could be some impact because of the fixed-term nature of its contracts. Is that a concern that you feel, or is it something that the company's lineage provides confidence on?
No, I think some margin pressure, Puneet, will be there, but I think this will not be extended more than maybe a couple of quarters, because the management is also very clear that they know how to ensure that how they recover their fixed cost. And I think once the sentiment changes, the geopolitical condition changes, I think you could see a good bounce back in this stock. But yes, 3,500 to 3,800 could be a good level to actually start nimbling. We exactly don't know what price the stock will finally settle down, but yes, 35 to 3,800 is a good buying area.
The next caller, dialing in from Shimla now. Vinesh has a stock query for us. Vinesh, good morning. Welcome to the show. What's your query?
Sir, I have TCS 50 shares at 2791. And I want to have a long-term view of 1 to 1.5 years, whether I should hold or sell it now or add more at this level, present level.
Got your question, Vinesh, but Avinash, a year and a half, given what's happening with IT now, might seem more short-term than long-term, right, at this point of time. But what would you recommend Vinesh to do? He's holding shares at 2791. Should he average down, continue to hold?
No, I think it's better to wait for maybe another quarter or so. I think we need to get a little bit of clarity as to how the company is positioning itself, considering now AI is very much talked about. So I think at these levels, it's better to hold. Wait for the March quarter, and I think hopefully after the full year numbers are out, we could get better clarity. And I think probably that could be the right time to look into buying fresh into TCS.
Okay, all right, so that's the view on TCS. The next question is on MCX. Sunil from Pune is asking this question. He's got 60 shares. But he already has 60 shares, but he wants to know the right level to enter at from a short-term perspective and target and stop loss as well. Vaishali, of course, the stock has been buzzing on the back of the crude futures and options volume coming in. But your view on the charts?
So to say, actually, it has not really damaged the trend. So even now, today, if we are looking at it, I think 2,400 acts as a very good support. So keep that as a stop loss and buy.
Got that view, Vaishali. But another caller now from Bengaluru, Vinod, has a stock query for us. Vinod, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Yeah, I have Muthoot Finance 90 shares at the price 3,570.
Okay.
So we have to hold or at the book loss.
And Vinod, was this more of a long-term bet or a short-term bet?
Around 6 months. Time.
Okay, got it. Vaishali, then I'll come to you for Muthoot Finance. Vinod's bought at 3,570. What should he do with this counter now?
So I would say, of course, the trend is damaged, but I think 3,200 is a level to watch for. Can probably, because overall, if you see, it's a good company and the trend is still, the bullish view still is maintained. So I would say add more at 3,200 and wait for it to turn around.
Okay, all right. So that's the view on Muthoot Finance. But viewers, time to slip into a very, very short break. But we'll be right back answering all your queries on the other side. So do stay tuned.
True love is lifelong, isn't it? Just like Tata Power Solar Roof, best quality solutions, lifelong service guarantee and unmatched expertise. ये on तो quality lifelong.
ये हाथ केवल हल नहीं चलाते, मिट्टी से सोना उगाते हैं। ये हाथ केवल सिलाई नहीं करते, देश को नया रूप देते हैं। ये हाथ लोगों को उनकी मंजिल तक पहुंचाते हैं और इन्हें हम आसानी से लोन देकर अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। कैप्री लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
एनडीटीवी का क्रिएटर मंच है
where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
इट्स ओके यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
Welcome back to Ask Profit right here on NDTV Profit, the last 15-minute stretch of the show. So do start sending in your queries if you haven't already. But the next question, it's another tough one on Dixon Tech. Now, Anita Reddy actually bought it at 11,400. She's asking if she should hold on or exit or consider adding more shares at this point of time. But, Avinash, let me come back to you. On Dixon Tech, what would you suggest? It's been one where it's been a difficult one to actually call for both analysts, investors, shareholders. Is it a good time to add now?
No, I think, Puneet, the stock is corrected from higher levels of 18,000 and now the stock is trading at around 98.50. My sense is that it's better to wait for a quarter and no fresh buying is advisable because, see, in the EMS space now, there are not many big triggers. Almost everything is discounted in the price. And I think even at these levels, the valuations are not cheap. They are fair to expensive. So I would say that, at least for a couple of quarters, let's wait for the company to perform and, deliver better numbers. And only then fresh buying can be advisable. So I think better to hold, but no fresh buying advisable at current levels.
Okay, the next one is on Swiggy. Preetham Chatterjee says that he has 1100 shares at the levels of 415. He wants to know if he can buy 900 more shares and average out at the current levels. I mean, he's bought at elevated levels for sure. The stock is currently trading at 295. Avinash, I'll stick with you for this one. Your view on Swiggy, because Kotak recently added this particular counter to their portfolio, but have slightly cut the target price considering competition. What's the view here?
No, I think here also I would suggest that it's better to wait for a couple of quarters. See, I think the way Swiggy has been recording losses, my sense is that even at these levels, valuations look little elevated. So better to hold. If he wants to buy in, wait for the March quarter. And I think that would be a good time because obviously the March quarter is also unlikely to be great. So probably he could buy it at maybe lower levels and he can average down better.
Vaishali, actually just a quick follow-up on Swiggy. You mentioned Eternal could be very interesting at this juncture. Does that view stay on Swiggy as well?
Technically deeply oversold. So, and today we are seeing that there is some strength coming in Swiggy as well as Eternal. But market is such that you cannot vouch for these levels. I mean, the support levels do break easily. So I would say accumulation, at this juncture, I would definitely not suggest for a short term or, trading strategies. But these dips are good opportunities to add to your portfolio. So yes, I would say start accumulating.
IRCTC is the other one that Sameer is asking a question on and asking if it's a long-term bet. Avinash, a quick view on this one as well?
So here also, Puneet, I think the stock has done nothing in the last 2 years. I think clearly, the internet business has also plateaued because most of the population has been covered. And most importantly, I think the markets want to see very strong numbers. In fact, in the last conference call, the management hinted that on an annualized basis, top line will grow by just 10%. Now, this is not something which is going to excite the market. So I think it's better to wait for quarter 4 numbers. No fresh buying advisable.
Okay. All right. The next one is on Afcons Infra. Viraj from Bengaluru wants to know if this is a good time to average. He's holding 150 stocks at an average price of 373. Since the IPO, he's been averaging this counter is what he's saying. Avinash, your view on this one?
Mahima, I think quarter 3 numbers have been very bad. Profitability has taken a big hit, and I think unless we see better execution and better margins coming back, normally the fourth quarter is supposed to be a very strong quarter. So I would prefer to wait for the quarter 4 before making a fresh commitment.
Got that view. And the infra space, definitely out of investors in the radar as of now. So Afcons continues to be at 52-week low at this point of time. But another caller now dialing in from Delhi, and Nitin has a stock query for us. Nitin, good morning. Welcome to the show. What's your question?
Good morning. I have about 1 crore rupees surplus money left with me.
Okay.
Ready for deployment. I wanted some stock ideas where I can deploy this. I did buy L&T today at 3800. I'm looking to buy CAMS at about 625.
Okay.
And some other ideas I can get. Warren Beverages is something I'm looking at. CDSL, BSC, and DLF at about 520 if it comes. But some ideas will help. 1 crore.
Nitin, are these all long-term ideas, Nitin?
12 years. Yeah, 10 to 12 years.
Okay, long-term ideas. Got it. Avinash, he's listed out a few stocks, but a couple of them, Varun Beverages, DLF, I think DLF we did speak about, and you've given your view on CDSL as well. Anything that he said that comes on your radar, or what would you pick right now for the long term for the next decade?
So I think Varun Beverages definitely should do well this year. Last year the winter extended a little more, so the business was impacted. So Varun Beverages at these levels definitely seems to be a good bet. I think if you can consider the next 12 to 15 months, and hopefully, I think the first half of this year is going to be a kind of a very solid year for Varun Beverages. But I think, stocks like Mahindra & Mahindra, Indian Hotels, or for that reason, I think even companies like, Tata Motors, and if he has a slightly longer term horizon, these could be very good defensive bets, at the same time could offer a decent risk reward. So I think M&M and maybe, Indian Hotels, which has been beaten down, I think one could definitely look at accumulating.
The next one is, also in that Alcobev space. Aniket from Karnataka is asking about Piccadilly Agro. He says if this is the right time to enter from a long-term perspective of 4 years, or any other stock that you're liking in this space of, Alcobev. Avinash, your view?
I think my sense is, this is a stock which has been very volatile, but I think within the liquor space, something like a Radico Khaitan or maybe a United Spirits, these could be better bets. I think these are large players and they command a much better brand premium, and obviously are there in the B2C kind of segment. So maybe these companies, if one takes the next 2 to 3 years, definitely a decent amount of money can be paid.
Got that view, and the numbers for Radico Khaitan has been very strong. Citi also had a note on beverages today, talks about the positive outcomes that he's seeing on the Alcobev space as well. And Varun Beverages is one of the top picks as we discussed in the previous question. But the next question coming in from on JM Financial actually, and Manoj from Hyderabad is asking if he should buy into this counter right now. Vaishali, would you recommend that?
Which one? JM Financial?
Yeah, JM Financial.
I would say, wait, because the trend is down. It can go to 115, 110. That would be a level to buy.
Okay, the next one, in fact, we've got a caller. Nishad is calling us from Mumbai. Nishad, a very good morning to you. What's your query about?
Yeah, I want a 1-year view on RateGain Technologies. And also, can you give me levels like stop loss or their target?
Sure.
If it's sold. Yeah.
Okay, Nishad, got your question. Vaishali, RateGain is the counter. Your view on this one? What is the kind of target and stop loss that you're seeing on the charts?
So I would say RateGain is also weak. I would say exit.
Got it. Got your view, Vaishali. But time now for the rapid fire in this edition of Ask Profit. Vaishali as well as Avinash, the drill. The first question that we're taking in this rapid fire round is on M&M. Now, a 2-year horizon, a good entry point. Would you suggest that Avinash, it's now a year, given that the base will be quite high next year? Is that any of a concern?
No, I think one can definitely buy into the stock. I think use an SIP approach to gradually add positions.
Okay, MV Photovoltaic, a recent listing. Vivek wants to know if this company is good to invest in. Avinash, any view?
Yeah, I think longer term, if somebody has a 12 to 18 month time frame, one can definitely buy.
Electra Green Tech is the other one. Avinash bought at 1175 by a viewer. Got a new order win also recently. Is it now on your radar given the management change amongst other key factors?
Yeah, I think long-term prospects continue to be good, so continue to hold.
Okay, Greaves Cotton is the next one. Ramesh wants to know from a short-term perspective, can he continue to hold 3 to 6 months? Vaishali on the charts?
Buy.
On Tata Steel, Vaishali, what would you recommend? Is it a good time to enter? Is what Raja is asking.
180.
Okay, Zydus Life Sciences is the next one. The viewer is asking whether he can hold for a very long-term perspective of 5 years. Avinash, your view?
Yeah, he can continue to hold for the next 12 to 18 months.
Sirma SGS bought at 873 by Yogesh. Avinash, there are some concerns on export share being quite high for the company, but what would you suggest?
No, I think it's a hold at the current level.
Okay, Raymond Realty is the next one. From a 6 months time horizon, can Ramesh continue to hold? Vaishali, enough data on the charts?
So Raymond Realty continue holding strict stop loss of 405.
BEL bought at 251 by Mahalakshmi and she's holding over 1600 shares right now. Asking if she should add more now or book some profit. She's 67 years old and a long-term investor. Avinash?
I think if she's got a time frame of 12 to 18 months, she should continue to hold. The long-term trajectory looks very good.
Infosys is the next one. 85 shares bought at the levels of 1760. Average or hold? Vaishali, your view?
Hold.
Central Bank of India or M&M? What would you prefer, Vaishali, for a short term is what Divya is asking.
M&M.
Okay, the next one is on Bharti Airtel. Bharat is bought at the levels of 2100. He wants to know if he can continue to hold. Avinash, your view?
Yeah, I think keep a time frame of at least 18 to 24 months.
Is it a good time to book profits in Ashok Leyland? Is what Suman is asking. He's up 58%. Avinash, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I think he should book part profit and continue to hold the rest one.
Okay, Shankar wants to know if he can buy IDFC Bank at the current levels, planning to add 1000 shares. Vaishali, would you say yes to that?
Technically 68 is the support.
Netweb Tech for the long term, the next 10 years. Avinash, would you suggest that buy?
I think better to wait for some time. I think buy on dips, not at the current level.
Got it. Well, that's the end of the rapid fire as well as this edition of Ask Profit. But Avinash as well as Vaishali, thanks so much and helping us solve the 64 queries that we have in this last 1 hour with a management conversation. So I would say, Mahima, that's a good number on a day where there has been a lot of volatility given in the Sensex and in the Nifty 50. But viewers, stay tuned. If you have missed your query, we will start taking them at 2 p.m. live on Ask Profit, the afternoon edition. And of course, for Mahima, we'll try and get that 100 mark as well.
Exactly what I was trying to say.
But all the time on this show, KYC comes up next.
True love is lifelong, isn't it? Just like Tata Power Solar Roof, best quality solutions, lifelong service guarantee and unmatched expertise. ये on the quality lifelong.
बिटिया की शादी है हमारी।
बधाइयों बधाइयों।
कुछ पैसे मिल जाते समय पे लौटा दूंगा। जिंदगी में जरूरत के वक्त हम अक्सर अकेले पड़ जाते हैं।
इसीलिए तो केपरी लोन्स आपको गोल्ड लोन देके अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। केपरी लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं। The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है
Where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
अरे year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
First India tour.
Hello and welcome to KYC. I am Sharad Dubey and you are watching NDTV Profit, and this is one of the most loved KYC shows as I get you interesting companies which can be newly listed or maybe something which the street is talking about. But I'm not going to give you very easily. I'm going to give you some hints. Try to guess it. What's the company which we'll be talking about in KYC? The first one is it's a manufacturer of renewable energy products. First hint I've given you. Let's talk about the second hint. Surya Kumar Yadav is the first brand ambassador. Of course, the company is having a couple of more brand ambassadors, and that includes Anil Kapoor as well. That's Jackass. But let's talk about one more hint, and that is it's listed recently on November 20, 2025. But has that company given money to the investors in the IPO? Well, I don't think so. It's down 22% from the IPO price. And of course, we had given you in the socials also some images which you could have decided what this company is all about. There are a couple of brands to it, but the company in focus is Fujiyama Power Systems, and of course they have another brand called UTL Solar also. So दोनों brand में आप confuse मत होइएगा. But why are we getting this company? This was recently listed. Why is the company coming? Is it different from the solar theme pack? Because solar theme pack seems to be out of favor of the market. The global freight price that is rising. Now, will this procurement price from China rise because of that? That is the first question I would like to ask. The second one is the subsidy-based business. Has the order slowed down? Remember that B2G risk is always there for a company in the solar industry, or is the company hedging for its B2C business? These are the questions we will be asking Fujiyama Power. Interesting number is the 18.7% Q3 margins coming in. Is this sustainable? If yes, ये क्या backward integration का जादू है? That's the question we'll be asking. And the capacity expansion plans, capex and the distribution, are they playing in the tier 2, tier 3 cities? All our viewers in Indore, you could say in Punjab, in Jaisalmer, whoever are there in tier 2, tier 3 cities, are you seeing the products near your houses or your neighbors? That's something to ask about. And the progress on the ramp up of the Dadri line. These are the extension I'm talking about, the new manufacturing facilities which start coming up. So these are the key questions we will be asking Fujiyama Power. Of course, there's a lot of interest on it. A lot of you have written to me about it, but let's take it slowly. Of course, any fundraise plans if it comes in, because promoters have a good stake, maybe they can dilute going ahead. But to give in all the details, we'll have Pawan Garg, the founder and joint MD of Fujiyama Power. He'll be on the show. He'll be clearing most of our doubts on all the questions we have raised. But let's talk about the company, how important the company is all about. Is it different or is it just the same? Let's go into this layer by layer. It's an Indian solar solutions company. It was established in the year 1996. So it's not a new company. 30 years already in the industry, has 4 existing facilities and 1 extra facility I spoke about. That was the Dadri facility which we are talking about. And yes, new facility is coming from Ratlam. It's in Madhya Pradesh as well. Also, apart from this, let's look at the total coverage, and that is what something which has taken my eyes, especially the 6,300 dealers, and they are focusing on tier 2 and tier 3 cities. That is where the magic might lie for this company. They're not targeting tier 1 so much or the exports. So this is where the story of Bharat might play out. 90% revenue comes from the B2C segment. That is pretty much decent because a little bit of pricing power can definitely come in here, but overall the industry overcapacity is there. The key focus, of course, I've spoken about it. This is where the focus lies on. And one more thing they have written is off-grid. Off-grid means non-subsidy. Non-subsidy means payment का जो issue है, that can be sorted because ये government से नहीं आ रहा है. But what are the key products to look at? There is solar power generation. This is one of the key first projects which have come in. Then there is solar cells, there is power supply and lithium ion batteries also. So the entire ecosystem comes in. Of course, these are the new ones. I'm talking about around 1.5 gigawatt manufacturing capacity is there in power electronics and batteries. But look at kya extension hai, that's around 2 gigawatt. That means let's add it up to make it simplified for you. Totally it's 3.5 gigawatt. That's what the company is targeting. Capacity levels की तो बात हो गई. But क्या target है? This is very much important. They are establishing the south and east. ये north की player जो है, if you see in your houses, near your houses, this is where the brand comes in. But south and east, these are the new areas. And remember, east has a lot of tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities and towns. But why is the market not giving so much premium to the solar theme? The first is higher priced IPOs, mispricing at times, and that's what the retail complains. The second one is the excess dependence on China for procurement. That has been a big question mark for all the solar players, and now they are focusing on their backward integration. The international raw material pricing, that has turned very volatile, and especially the uncertain tariffs which comes in, especially from US, that's where a concern comes. But all in all, if you are in solar industry, there is a B2G, business to government risk, and particularly on the payments and the order flow. Kab payment aayega, kab order aayega, there is always a lumpiness in it, and that's the business nature of it. The global overcapacity at times and the reduced pricing power, that is where the solar theme becomes a question mark for investors. But to remove that question mark, I'm going to get into my KYC show and I'm going to give you 8 parameters where we'll judge the company and we'll try to figure out isme naya kya hai. First one is income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. These are the 3 holy grail of numbers which we have to talk about. Return ratios, how much the ROC numbers, ROE numbers have come in. Looking at shareholding, remember, this is a newly listed company, तो कोई बड़ा trend आपको नहीं मिलने वाला. You'll just get something which is there in the December quarter. Street cred, only IPO तक के details और अभी तक, and valuations. We'll compare with a lot of companies which we have discussed all across on social media and on TV as well. And outlook, industry क्या कहता है, company क्या कहता है. These are the 8 rating parameters where we'll talk about it. But let's talk about the first one, income statement. It's one of the most important statement to look at. Revenue, EBITDA, profit, these 3 are there. You can look at it. Over here, the 3-year CAGR, all of them going past the 40% mark. This is something you should be looking at as a long-term fundamental investor. And overall, it looks very strong numbers. But abhi numbers kya hai? Third quarter, let's pull out the numbers and see what has happened here. And has the company performed or not? The Q3 numbers have been on the stronger side, and I had mentioned you about that 18.7% margin. So keep that in mind. And this overall income statement, I will give a strong thumbs up. Let's talk about the balance sheet, and balance sheet is where my concern starts coming in because it's an asset heavy business. Company backward integration कर रही है, तो debt बढ़ रहा है, and this is coming after the IPO. That's where the question comes. It's around 346 crore. That's coming for FY25. Has that reduced a bit? We'll ask that management. It's roughly 470 crores since the last time I heard in the con call. But nevertheless, debt reduction plan, is there any, or will the company take more debt? So that is why, to balance things out, I have to give a neutral rating for the balance sheet. Remember, the debt figure is around 470 odd crore. We'll ask the management about this entire detail. But cash flows is very much important. And of course, operating cash flows, that has actually come down in FY25. That means there is lumpiness in the business. And I told you, at times, even from B2C customers, at times there is a late delay in payment also comes in. That's something we'll ask the management also. How does this model work, B2C versus B2G? But let's look at that operational cash flow to PAT that has also come down, and that's where the concern comes in. So right now, just to judge the FY25 numbers, I have given this a negative rating for cash flows. But let's talk about return ratios. ROC. ROC means return on capital employed. How things have moved around, and ROC numbers, looking at it, it has gone up from 18% to 21% matter of 2 years. In FY25, it's at 39%. Will they sustain these return ratios going ahead? Why? Because the company is taking more debt, maybe for the expansion. And if it takes more expansion, some return ratios might be under pressure. This is just mathematics. But net on the past data, it is very strong, and I've given a strong thumbs up when it comes to the return ratios. Let's talk about the shareholding, and remember, we have to be very fair to the company. There is no major trend. This is just one all. 2% FIs are there and DIs are almost 5%. So over here there is a scope of, you could say, some kind of increase in FIs and DIs, but currently entire sector is out of favor right now. So there might be some bargain hunting, but there is some kind of a big correction happening. But promoters are having healthy 87% stake. Remember, by SEBI regulations, this is supposed to come down to 75% in the next 3 years. So promoter sales, fundraise, you can expect that for an asset heavy company like Fujiwara Power. So net it's a neutral rating. Let's give it more time. But let's talk about the street cred. IPO was in November 2025. That means almost 2.5 months it has been. But from the IPO price, market condition bhi dekh lo, it's down 22%. Okay, others have also corrected, and I'll get you that picture as well. Last 1 month also stock is down 16%. So for a short period of time, of course, for the IPO people and the people who have entered post the IPO, you haven't made money yet. That is why I've given a thumbs down when it comes to street cred, but we need to wait it out and see what happens in the future. And when the next time this company comes on KYC, we will judge them on much more longer time horizon. Let's talk about the valuations. Valuations is more important here. I'll tell you why. Most of these solar themed stocks are down by almost 60 to 80% in their valuation from the peak levels. That's where the interest had come in the markets. But now what has happened? There are bigger names, Vari, Premier, they are still at the 30s, but they were trading almost at 90, 100s. Insolation is 16x, and over here the company is still maintaining a little bit of premium against its peers. If you could just show the other companies also, apart from Insolation, and that is what I'm talking about. But Fujiwara Power is still at 28 times. Feel it's decently priced because company has that tier 2, tier 3 exposure they are talking about, mostly domestic it is, and the distribution is their strength. That's what they have been constantly talking about. So it's a neutral rating when it comes to the valuations when the peers come in. Let's talk about the outlook, how things are moving in outlook, and of course there are a lot of concerns here. See, the long-term story is definitely there. Government is all giving good policies, but these things take time, and you need to be a long-term investor, say 5 to 8 years of horizon if you are actually interested in this industry. Now the industry itself, 40 to 45 CAGR is projected for the rooftop solar market, how things are growing, and the Bharat, that is where the strength we are looking at. The supply chain risk from China, that is where the concern comes. Almost 90% import of the total imports, whatever that comes in, it comes from China. And this is not for this company, but this is for the entire ecosystem. That's why everybody is focusing on the backward integration, and the key products are taking place. And we'll talk with the management about how these key details are happening. Also, apart from this outlook, apart from the backward integration, the rising raw material prices and the company's pass-through mechanism. कितने महीने में जब दाम बढ़ा तो कब वो प्राइस जो हाइक है या कम हुआ है, कब pass through करते? That's a very important question because we see all these numbers quarterly basis, and the most important thing is the B2G business risk in any kind of a field. Remember, 91% revenue comes for the B2C segment. So outlook, it's a neutral. Let's look, go ahead and see how things happen. But let's talk about the ratings, how actually things are panning out. And largely we see the income statement is very strong. Q3 numbers, the margins were really good. Balance sheet, it's neutral, but the debt remains a concern. But that's the business model about it. Cash flows, the company needs to prove itself. Return ratios have been good. Street cred and shareholding, the time period you could say is very less. Let's give it more time to understand the company. Valuations are decent right now because the entire sector has corrected, and outlook also
long term specific, everything is good, but of course short term basis there are question marks. So a neutral rating for my analysis in a general show, we give almost 4 to 4.5 for the most of the companies, and this is, you could say, in the middle. Even Stevens, 4 out of 8 for Fujiyama Power. Of course, there is something, couple of new things against its peers which I really like, and we'll discuss about that. But joining us would be Pawan Garg. He's the joint MD at UTL Solar. This is their brand, Fujiyama Power. In 1996, he had founded this company. Now he has more than 30 years of experience in this space. It's not new for him. So of course, anything new which comes in, he'll share with us. And joining us is Pawan Garg. Good afternoon, Pawanji. It was always a pleasure talking with you. I'm seeing both the brands of UTL and Solar on your shirt. So I'm like, ये दोनों brand एक ही है, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Ji. Thank you for the opportunity.
जी बिल्कुल. Pawanji, the first question is definitely going to be on the Q3 numbers, and that margins was something which came in my eyes. That was almost 19% up. Now for a business model like yours, of course, there's a blended basis. Do we expect that to touch the 20% mark because of this backward integration? And if yes, timeline बताइए.
You will see in coming quarter. Definitely, your wish will be completed.
All right, but just one more query on it. Like, what are these margin growth levers? Like, what things are happening? In fourth quarter, okay, we can expect a 20% margin, but what are the growth levers that margins बढ़ेगा इसके कारण?
Okay, sir. Major thing is backward integration and operational efficiency. And one more thing is we have end-to-end solution, basically. End-to-end solutions means from R&D to development to production to marketing and to distribution and services, after sales services. So we have end-to-end solution, and because of that, and we have complete solution included power electronics components, that is inverters, solar inverters, storage, that is power batteries and solar batteries and solar panels. We have complete solution, sir.
And Pawanji, another question is the amount of global geopolitical tensions are happening. Of course, there is some procurement which comes from China as well, and there is a raw material pricing impact also. Just two important queries, and then we'll get back to the business model. Is that have the procurement prices been impacted because of the higher freight rates? And secondly, are the raw material costing price also going up? And if yes, what is the pass-through mechanism?
So, Saraji, rate is very low percentage basically of raw material, and you will see 75% is our domestic procurement, only 25% is import. So, if you see ke total import is very less, against freight is very less percentage of total raw material part. And second thing, if price fluctuations are there, all the market, what happens, they pass on to customer basically. This is market trend basically.
Right. And Pawanji, apart from the margins, apart from how the situation has happened, अगर पूरा बिजनेस के बारे में बताना हुआ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन को लेके, दैट इज वेयर आई फील देयर इज अ बिट डिफरेंट देन योर कंपटीटर्स. आपने टियर 2 टियर 3 के बारे में बहुत बात किया है. पवन जी, इस एक्सपेंशन प्लान के बारे में बताइए कि किस तरह आप जाने वाले हैं, और क्या कंपटीशन रिस्क भी आ रहा है आपको आपके पीयर्स के साथ देखते हुए? बिकॉज एट टाइम्स ये कमोडिटी वाली बिजनेस भी बन जाती है, बिकॉज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ कंपटीशन हैपनिंग. व्हाट्स योर व्यू ऑन दैट? क्या एक्सपेंशन प्लान रहेगा?
देखिए सर, अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत बड़ी है मार्केट में. मेन चीज ये है, 96 से जब हमने शुरू किया, अगर हम देखेंगे तो हमेशा एक अपॉर्चुनिटी को हमने पहले से जज किया और उस पे हमने काम किया और सॉल्यूशन मार्केट के लिए लेके आए. मार्केट में जो प्रॉब्लम्स है, दैट इज अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर अस एंड वी वर्क ऑन दोज अपॉर्चुनिटीज. तो हमारे पास काफी सारे प्रोडक्ट्स ऐसे हैं जिसमें कि हमारे पास जो यूनिक प्रोडक्ट्स है, और हमारे पास मोर देन 500 SKU है जो कि मार्केट में सबसे बड़ी रेंज मानी जाती है अपने आप में. और बेस्ड ऑन कस्टमर्स एप्लीकेशंस एंड बजट वी हैव डिफरेंट सॉल्यूशंस. तो वहां पर जो हमारे पास एक मोट है, प्रोडक्ट पोर्टफोलियो का, तो वो हमारे को मार्केट से अलग बनाता है।
और पवन जी एक और सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहेंगे, क्योंकि आपकी जो एक दादरी की प्लांट है और एक रतलाम की प्लांट है, इनके इम्पोर्टेंट जो है अपडेट बताएं, इनके जो है जो प्रोग्रेस हुआ है ये बताएं, और कब जो है आंकड़ों में आप कहेंगे कि इसमें थोड़ा इंक्रीमेंटल बेनिफिट आ सकता है, ये बताएं। ये आपके दो प्रोडक्ट, एक दादरी लाइन है और दूसरा है रतलाम जो मध्य प्रदेश में, बताएं।
ये सर, तो सर अगर आप देखेंगे हमने 96 से शुरू किया तो हमारा जो एवरेज ग्रोथ रेट रही है वो 50% की हमारी ग्रोथ रेट रही है। अगर आप लास्ट 5 इयर्स का भी अगर आप देखेंगे CAGR, तो 50% का हमारा CAGR रहा है। और उसी में अगर हम देखें, अगर फ्यूचर में हमें वो ग्रोथ रेट मेंटेन करनी है तो हमें एक्सपेंशन तो आगे के लिए देख के चलना होगा। तो हाँ,
और पवन जी एक एक्सपेंशन के बारे में तो बात हुआ, लेकिन कुछ कैपेसिटी एक्सपेंशन, कैपेक्स, अगर अगले साल का कैपेक्स का कुछ अमाउंट आप रखे हैं, और डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन प्लान्स किस तरह आप अपने नेटवर्क को बढ़ाएंगे, जरा उसके ऊपर भी थोड़ा सा झलक दें।
तो सर पहले वाला क्वेश्चन मैं एक बार कंप्लीट कर लेता हूँ। जो दादरी वाला है, हाँ जी, जो दादरी वाला प्लांट है हमारा वो कमीशन हो चुका है ऑलरेडी जनवरी में, और इस क्वार्टर में हमें उसका नंबर्स के रूप में बेनिफिट मिलता हुआ नजर आएगा। क्योंकि आप देखेंगे कि हमारे पास अभी तक जो बिजनेस है, रूफटॉप सोलर का बिजनेस हमने 2008 से जो डेवलप किया, और अभी पिछले 1-1.5 साल से जो हमारे पास अपॉर्चुनिटी आई, खास तौर से PM सूर्यघर योजना के तहत, तो उस अपॉर्चुनिटी का हमें बेनिफिट उतना नहीं मिल पा रहा था। उसके लिए रीजन ये था कि एक कंपोनेंट होता है DCR सोलर पैनल की रिक्वायरमेंट थी, और DCR सोलर पैनल के रिक्वायरमेंट के लिए एक रिक्वायरमेंट है सोलर सेल की, जो कि इंडिया में बना हुआ होना चाहिए, DCR सोलर सेल होना चाहिए, जिसकी के डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा है और सप्लाई काफी कम है। तो वो जो अपॉर्चुनिटी थी वो हमारे से मिस हो रही थी। जितना भी हमारा अभी तक ग्रोथ आप देख पा रहे हैं, अगर Q3 के नंबर देखेंगे तो उसमें से सब्सिडी वाले बिजनेस का रोल काफी कम मिलेगा। मेजर जो हमारा बिजनेस ग्रोथ आई है वो नॉन सब्सिडी बिजनेस से आई है।
जी बिल्कुल। और पवन जी एक बार दर्शकों को एक बार समझा दीजिए कि जो सब्सिडी बिजनेस और नॉन सब्सिडी बिजनेस होता है, इसमें क्या जोखिम होते हैं और क्या फायदा होता है, और ऑफ ग्रिड और जो आप कहेंगे कि ऑन ग्रिड होता है, इसका मतलब क्या, ये हमारे दर्शकों को बताएं।
यस सर, बिल्कुल। तो सर मेजर रूप से तो हम 2 पार्ट में हम अपने सिस्टम्स को डिवाइड कर सकते हैं, ऑन ग्रिड और ऑफ ग्रिड। ऑन ग्रिड में हम क्या करते हैं, इसमें जो एक्स्ट्रा पावर जो हमारी सोलर पैनल से बनती है, उस पावर को जब हम घर में यूज नहीं कर रहे होते तो हम ग्रिड में एक्सपोर्ट कर पाते हैं, तो उस सिस्टम को हम कहेंगे ऑन ग्रिड। उसके लिए नेट मीटरिंग की जरूरत होती है, लेकिन उसकी एक ड्रॉबैक ये है कि हम उसमें बैटरी नहीं लगा पाते, क्योंकि बैटरी बैकअप की उसमें वो बैटरी बैकअप नहीं दे पाते। लेकिन जहां पर हमें बैटरी बैकअप देना होता है, जहां पर गांव है हमारे, Tier 2 Tier 3 सिटीज है, जहां पर पावर कट्स है, वहां पर हमें सिस्टम ऐसा लगाना पड़ता है जिसमें कि हम अपना पावर बैकअप दे सके, लाइट जाने के बाद पावर को जनरेट कर सके। क्योंकि ऑन ग्रिड सोलर में पावर जब हमारी चली जाती है तो उस टाइम पे हम सोलर की पावर भी जनरेट नहीं कर पाते। रीजन उसका ये होता है कि हमें अपने इन्वर्टर में एक एंटी आइसलैंडिंग फैसिलिटी देनी होती है ऑन ग्रिड में। जब हम पावर को एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं तो हमें एक सर्टिफिकेशन लेना होता है गवर्नमेंट से, गवर्नमेंट अप्रूव्ड लैब से, जिसको हम एंटी आइसलैंडिंग फैसिलिटी कहते हैं। उसका रीजन ये है कि अगर
हाँ पवन जी आपने ऑलमोस्ट पूरा चीज कह दिया, थोड़ा समय भी कम रहते तो इसलिए हम थोड़ा जल्दी सवाल पूछते हैं।
ठीक है, तो ऑफ ग्रिड में हम बैटरी बैकअप दे सकते हैं,
बिल्कुल।
और हाइब्रिड सिस्टम ऐसे होते हैं जिसमें ऑन ग्रिड और ऑफ ग्रिड दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन।
पवन जी लिथियम आयन बैटरीज पे भी जो है, ऑफ कोर्स आपका पूरा मेन बिजनेस तो नहीं है, पर उसमें भी आप आ गए हैं। किस तरह देख रहे डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, R&D की तरफ है कि अभी भी मतलब कवरेज स्टार्ट हो गया है, बताएं।
देखिए सर, लिथियम आयन बैटरी हमने शुरू कर दी थी कोविड के बाद, 21 में हमने शुरू कर दी थी। छोटा हमने एक्सपेरिमेंट किया था, अराउंड 100 मेगावाट का हमने प्रोडक्शन शुरू किया था। उसके बाद लास्ट ईयर हमने 500 मेगावाट का और उसमें हमने एडिशन किया, जो कि हमारी वो पूरी कमीशनिंग हो चुकी थी और अभी हम पूरी प्रोडक्शन कर पा रहे हैं। और इस जो करंट ईयर है उसमें हमारा जो लिथियम आयन बैटरी का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है वो 25% है, अलोंग विद लेड एसिड बैटरी। तो लेड एसिड बैटरी तो हम बना ही रहे हैं और लिथियम आयन बैटरी भी हम बना रहे हैं। तो नेक्स्ट एक्सपेंशन जितना भी हम कर रहे हैं वो लिथियम आयन बैटरी में ही कर रहे हैं। रीजन उसका ये है कि आने वाले टाइम में लिथियम आयन का जो मार्केट शेयर है वो बढ़ने वाला है।
पवन जी, डेट के बारे में भी आपसे थोड़ा बातचीत करना था। आप Q3 का जो कॉन कॉल था वहां से मुझे ये 470 करोड़ रुपए का आंकड़ा आया था, मैं सही हूँ?
आप सही होंगे सर, आपने बिल्कुल सही जी।
हाँ, तो पवन जी जरा बताएं कि ये क्या डेट और थोड़ा बढ़ने वाला है या थोड़ा रिड्यूस करेंगे, क्या होगा अभी?
डेट टू इक्विटी रेशो अगर आप देखेंगे तो वो आप कम होता हुआ मिलेगा।
अच्छा, आगे जाते हुए कम होता हुआ रहेगा। ठीक,
डेट टू इक्विटी रेशो कम होता हुआ मिलेगा।
तो हमने डेट की बात कर ली, लेकिन जो सब्सिडी की बिजनेस है यहाँ पे, मतलब इंडस्ट्री, आपके कंपनी के बारे में नहीं, पूरे इंडस्ट्री में जो है कभी पेमेंट इशू हो जाता है, कभी ऑर्डर में स्लो डाउन आता है, तो आप जो है किस तरह देख रहे हैं अभी? करंट चैनल चेक्स क्या बता रहा है आपको पूरे इंडस्ट्री के लिए, बताएं।
तो इसमें दो तीन चीजें मैं बता देता हूँ सर। एक तो ये है कि अभी तक की हमारी जो ग्रोथ हुई है वो बिना सब्सिडी वाले बिजनेस से हुई है। सब्सिडी वाले बिजनेस से जो एडिशनल ग्रोथ होनी है वो हम अब उस अपॉर्चुनिटी को ले पाएंगे। सेकंड चीज ये है कि जो मार्केट में डिमांड अचानक बढ़ी है, मैं ये मानता हूं वो सब्सिडी की वजह से ना बढ़ के सब्सिडी की वजह से जो अवेयरनेस आई है उसकी वजह से वो डिमांड बढ़ी है। क्योंकि सब्सिडी की वजह से अवेयरनेस आ गई है, अवेयरनेस आने से जो अब मोमेंटम आ गया है, मुझे लगता है कि वो मोमेंटम अब रुकने वाला नहीं है। रीजन उसका ये है कि ये
पवन जी, एक और चीज पूछना था। देखिए, आपका प्रमोटर स्टेक तो 87% है, आपको 2.5 से 3 साल में घटाना पड़ेगा 75% तक। इस तरह आपका कैपेक्स हैवी धंधा है, आप एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि 6 महीने 12 महीने में एक फंड रेज या कुछ डायल्यूशन होगा?
12 महीने में तो नहीं एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे सर। 12 महीने के बाद जैसी रिक्वायरमेंट कंपनी को होगी उसके अकॉर्डिंग हम, मतलब के अगले 12 महीने में हमें ये दिखाई नहीं देता अभी, पर जैसे कंपनी की रिक्वायरमेंट होगी उसके हिसाब से हम डिसाइड करेंगे सर।
पवन जी, आपने जो है पूरा बिजनेस, पूरे इंडस्ट्री के बारे में आप हमें बताया और केवाईसी में आप आए, आपसे बात करते हुए बहुत अच्छा लगा। बेस्ट ऑफ लक पवन जी फॉर द फ्यूचर।
एक शरद जी, थोड़ा सा अगर आप टाइम दें तो मैं इसमें थोड़ा सा ये ऐड करना चाहूंगा। जो B2C बिजनेस है, जो एंड कस्टमर का बिजनेस है, जो गांव का देहात का बिजनेस है, ये बिजनेस जो ये बातें हो रही है इंडस्ट्री में कि ओवर कैपेसिटी हो गई है या ये है, लेकिन अपॉर्चुनिटी इसमें इतनी है कि आज 60 जो चाइना है रूफटॉप सोलर में 60 गीगावाट एवरी ईयर ऐड कर रहा है।
सर पवन सर, थोड़ा समय कम है, हमें रुकना पड़ेगा, लेकिन आपसे बातचीत जरूर करेंगे। दूसरे केवाईसी में भी आपको जरूर लाएंगे 5-6 महीने बाद कितना यूटीएल सोलर और फ्यूजामा पावर सिस्टम आगे बढ़ा है। धन्यवाद सर, आपसे बात किए और अच्छे बात किया। एंड दिस इज द मैनेजमेंट राइट फ्रॉम द हार्ट, राइट फ्रॉम द हिंदी हार्टलैंड, speaking about UTL Solar Fujiyama Power Systems growth plans, and of course answering all our queries which you had put, a little bit in Hindi, a little bit in English, but that's all folks, and that's the beauty of KYC. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.
Stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है,
where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
इट्स ओके यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
First India tour in your city. Rock on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
Alright team, our new auto show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
Expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decision. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your Automate.
Conflict in Middle East enters its 5th day. Fresh Israel strikes pound Iranian missile infrastructure while Iran attacks expand across the Gulf. Despite the killing of Supreme Leader and the heavy bombing of Iran, the Islamic Republic's leader refused to immediately return to the negotiating table. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son Mojtaba elected as the next supreme leader of Iran. The 56-year-old Serik has been in power in Iran but holds no public office currently. South Korea's Kospi plunges more than 12%, extends a steep sell-off from the last session as the war escalates. Kospi stopped trading for temporarily after hitting a circuit amid a broader Asian sell-off. Broader risk-off sentiment finds its way to Dalal Street. Nifty slips more than 400 points while Sensex plunges more than 1400 points. Metals, realty and PSU banks were the top sectoral laggards, with all major sectors in the red. Oil and gold benefit from soaring geopolitical risk premium. Brent crude extends gains above $82 per barrel. The yellow metal also hovers close to a record high amid renewed safe haven demand. Amid escalating tensions in the Gulf and geopolitical uncertainty, rupee opens at a record low. The Indian currency hovers close to a record low of 92.3 versus the US dollar as demand for more RBI intervention gather pace. Good afternoon. You're watching Markets at 12 with me, Mahima Vachrajani, and this is a show where we get you updates on the top buzzers and news updates at the noon. But first, let's take a quick look as to how the markets are doing. Like I mentioned, overall the market is right now down by about 480 odd points for the Nifty, almost down 2%. So no relief in terms of where the benchmarks go. Let's try to pull up the heat map because you have a lot of those names losing ground on that map today. Something like a Tata Steel now down almost 7%, seeing extreme profit booking. L&T also down by about 6% with having around 37% exposure of its order book in the Middle East. JSW Steel, Tata Motors, Ultratech, Shriram Finance, as well as Interglobe Aviation, SBI Life, Grasim. I mean, the list just goes on right now. Just 3 names in green out of 50 stocks and hardly in green. Let's try to pull up the Nifty Bank to see as to what it's doing. In fact, the Nifty 50 has also fallen below the 24,400 levels as we speak. The Bank Nifty also clearly under pressure, down by about 2.1% below the 58. 600 odd levels for the Bank Nifty as well. Let's try to pull up the sectoral heat map, and I suppose that all sectors right now are in the red. And that's the mood of the market as we speak. There you go. That's red across that entire chart. So things not looking nice. Bloodbath in the markets is what we're seeing. Metal falling the most. I mean, I don't remember the last time we saw an index falling as much as 4%, except for IT that we saw because of AI. But realty, metal, banks, auto, all down in that 3 to 4% of range. Let's also quickly try to pull up the broad end of spectrum, the mid cap 150 and the small cap 250. Well, the pressure here also persists. 2.6% down on the mid cap 150 and the small cap 250, seeing a downtick of around 2.5%. So geopolitical uncertainty, wars happening are definitely impacting the Indian markets as well. And we've seen the pressure in the Asian markets, and that is kind of continuing in the Dalal Street as well. But to answer your questions and to understand as to what one should do right now, we're joined by Nishchal Maheshwari, who's a market expert, joining us now. Nishchal, thank you so much for taking out the time. My first question, the kind of move that we're seeing, if you take a look at history, the average fall in the Nifty 50 during markets was around 4% and the history has said that it's recovered within a week or two. But this time we've seen a lot of concerns, falling together. You have one war after the other, one conflict after the other, and of course there's tariff overhang that is still there, and all of these reasons combined together are just not right for the markets to pick up. What should an investor do right now who's sitting patiently since the past 1.5 years, considering that the stock markets will go up from here on?
So, afternoon, Mahima. I think investors who have been long enough in the market have seen several of these cycles, myself included. So, I think this too shall pass is the only thing I would say at the moment. But newer investors, I think, hold on. If you are in the right stocks, basically fundamentally strong. So this is more of an external issue. I think it's going to get sorted because neither US and Israel and neither Iran can hold on this kind of a skirmish or a war for a very long period of time. So I think in the next 2 weeks we should see at least the intensity coming down, and thereafter we might see some solution coming off. So I think this is extreme sell-off which is happening, and all kind of assumptions are getting built in. So I think that's where the panic is.
Nishchal, the other aspect, right? I was reading this particular article, and that said that a lot of stocks now are available at attractive valuations. Would you agree with that? Do you think that this is the time when one should go ahead and buy, considering the dips?
So yes, I do agree with you. Basically, that there are a lot of stocks which are now reasonably priced. But what we have to be mindful of is basically what kind of impact the high energy cost is going to have on all these stocks, and whether the earnings which we were projecting is going to actually materialize or not. So one has to be very careful, basically recalibrating the numbers before saying that the stocks are cheap. So be mindful of that.
Nishchal, any particular pockets that you're looking at right now specifically that could help play the defensive factor?
So I think domestic consumption story still remains to be good. I don't see any issue from the Indian macroeconomic point of view. If oil continues to remain high, then we might see some amount of inflation coming back. But then we have a very benign inflation situation at the moment, and we are not expecting any rate cuts happening further going ahead. So that is the only issue I see for the moment on the macroeconomic front. But I think the consumption still continues to remain good. Indian economy has been okay. We have to see if this impact does impact the export front or not. If it is prolonged, then we might have to recalibrate our growth numbers also. But still, I think a 7% growth is a decent number basically for the economy. So focus on domestic consumption stories.
Mr. What about metals? What is your take here? I mean, today it is seeing some serious profit booking, 4% down on the entire index. But, counters like gold and silver still continue to rally, right? So what's the view here?
So those are two different categories of metals. One is an industrial metal and other is basically safety, flight to safety kind of a situation. So industrial metals obviously will get impacted with this kind of a situation happening. And if we have a prolonged war, basically where a major region in the world basically is disturbed for a longer period of time, then definitely demand is going to get curtailed. And that's why you are seeing metals coming under pressure. And I think metals have also run up quite a bit. So I think it's a good time to take away some profits. As far as the precious metals are concerned, I think those should be held on because this kind of uncertainty only is going to push those prices up further.
Okay, all right. Nishal, thank you so much for giving us that perspective with regards to where the markets go and, of course, taking out the time and speaking with us at NDTV Profit. All right. Now, sticking with the entire theme of what's going on in the Middle East, Qatar halts production at the largest LNG plant in the world following drone attacks. How will this impact Indian companies and sectors? Somit is joining us with all the insight on this one. Somit?
Well, I'll start off with why Qatar is actually important. Now, if you look at the January 2026 data, the global LNG production numbers stood at, or the trade numbers stood at close to 42.7 million metric ton. Now, that was what the global trade setup or trade stood at. And if you look at the Qatar export data, that stood at close to 8 MMT, which is nearly 19% of the world LNG trade. And that is the reason why Qatar is quite important, and a production shutdown coming in from Qatar could impact prices globally, and that is what we are seeing. Now, what will be the impact on India? India imports nearly 50% of its LNG consumption, and this is as per the January data that we have got it, and 60% of this comes in from Qatar and UAE, and all of this is expected to get impacted, and the volumes would come down on this front. Now, which are the companies that could get impacted? Firstly, Petronet LNG, because nearly 60% of the volumes that they do for regasification comes to the Dahej LNG terminal, and this comes from Qatar and UAE, and volumes would go down, because of which earnings could get impacted. For GAIL, as volumes would go down, the transmission volumes would also be lower, marketing volumes would also be lower, and that will also impact the earnings for GAIL. For IGL, MGL and Gujarat Gas, that is the city gas distribution companies, gas availability could be an issue. Now, among these three city gas distribution companies, Gujarat Gas could get impacted the most because they have highest exposure compared to IGL and MGL. And purchasing gas for these companies on spot prices could turn out to be expensive because they will need to continue to supply gas, and if there is lower gas availability, then expensive gas would be an issue. Now, the most impacted would be the fertilizer companies. All of them, nearly 85% of gas requirement for fertilizer companies is met via imports. Companies like FACT, Coromandel International, Paradip Phosphate, Deepak Fertilizer, all of them stand to get impacted. And this table gives you a clear picture of which are the sectors that get impacted the most. Fertilizer is 29% of gas consumption in India, and nearly 86% of this is met via imports. City gas distribution companies 24%, 43% import dependence. Power is 10% of the gas consumption and only 20% of import dependence. Apart from that, there is refinery, petchem and others, which is close to 5 to 22%, and their import dependence is anywhere between 27 to 85%. But apart from this, LPG is also one segment that could stand to get impacted the most because the import dependence on LPG is much more. Now, India's LPG consumption stood at close to 31 million metric tons, and imported part was nearly 21 million metric tons. 19% is imported via Strait of Hormuz, and the strait's importance or dependence on India is nearly 90%. So that is one segment that we need to keep an eye out for, because if there is lower LPG then, or the LPG cost increases going forward, forward, then that could be negative for oil marketing companies as well. Now, LPG storage currently in the country is close to around 15 to 20 days. Now, India has option to export or import LPG from US, and there are other markets as well like Algeria, Norway and Russia. But do remember that the orders need to be placed right now, given the fact that shipment time will also be much more given from other countries at this moment. So LPG could be much more pain point compared to LNG.
Okay, all right. Soumit, thank you so much for getting us those details. I think he's put that perfectly into perspective as to how LPG and LNG are the two, gases which are right now just under that 15 to 20 days of inventory with India, and how if, the war continues, we'll have to export them from some certain other countries. But, earlier today, we spoke to Sonal Verma as well, and she tells NDTV Profit that India remains heavily dependent on energy imports that pass through the Strait of Hormuz, making the economy vulnerable. She also mentions that geopolitical shocks tend to be stagflationary, and let us try to understand as to what she's trying to convey through this. Listen in.
Exposure for India is quite high on various counts. We import more than 85% of our crude oil needs. Nearly half of this actually comes from Middle East, and we're not just talking crude oil, but the dependence on LNG, LPG, and then the dependence on the Strait of Hormuz for a lot of this crude that comes through. So I think the challenge right now is that the increase in oil prices is no longer just restricted to an increase in oil prices. It has spread into sort of other derivatives. And the uncertainty right now is on the duration of this shock. So for a net, oil and energy importer like India, this is a negative terms of trade shock.
And amid the ongoing tensions in the Middle East, Indian shipping companies are also facing a huge problem with their shipments. Anil Devli, CEO of Indian National Ship Owners Association, says that due to this, freight rates are likely to jump over 3 times. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
The insurance, incidentally, I must clarify here for your information, is the insurance has not been taken away. What happens is that the insurance companies, because a war-like situation develops, they come back and say, now within this area, whatever standard insurance you have is now not valid, and you need an additional war risk premium. So starting today, the war risk premium would apply to ships which are going to be in that region, and the cost is dramatically going to increase. At this stage, our vessels freight rates are fixed, at least all of these vessels which I mentioned, these 37 ships. So those freight rates will not change, but any new contracts that start from tomorrow or day after, those will see higher freight charges being levied. Very difficult to give you a figure, but from going by generalities, I think you can take it that freight rates will go up at least 3 times, if not less. For example, on the container side, CMA, CGM, etc., have already announced a surcharge of about $3,500 on a 20-foot box, for example. So that's really 4 times, going up to 4 times the freight rate.
Okay, so we talked about shipping, but aviation is, as an industry, is also in focus. Indigo is seeing a clear softening in air traffic trends, with February showing muted domestic and international growth, and the first 2 days of March starting even weaker. Soumit joins us to explain what is adding to the strain. Soumit?
Well, a clear triple whammy that we are seeing for Indigo. Firstly is the fact that there is a clear weakness in the air traffic. Now, if you look at the February data, which is yet not out on the DGCA website, we have collated this from the Ministry of Civil Aviation. And what we can see here is that the domestic air traffic is down nearly 0.3% on a YOY basis, while the international air traffic has reported a growth of just 0.7%. This is quite weaker. And if you look at the March data for the first 2 days, what we are seeing here is that domestic air traffic, average air traffic on a daily basis was 4.8 lakh, as against 5.1 lakh that we had seen in the previous month. And for the international air traffic, it has seen a big drop, coming in at 70,500 on an average daily basis air traffic for the international, as against 1.2 lakh that we have seen in the month of February. And this is largely because of the flight cancellations in the Middle East. Now, if you look at, so first is the weakness in air traffic. The second one is flight cancellation. On 1st of March, nearly 166 flights were cancelled. 2nd March, 162. 3rd March, 156. And so far, what we know is, as of today, around 57 flights have been cancelled. And this flight cancellation will lead to notional revenue loss and fixed cost loss coming in for Indigo in the 4th quarter. So what could be this amount of notional revenue loss and the fixed cost loss? Firstly, if you look at the Q4 estimated capacity, it was supposed to be around 46,375 million. Of this, nearly 30% is deployed towards international, and out of that, Middle East exposure is close to 45%. Now, this is a collation of all of the analyst estimates that is there currently. So the total capacity that is under risk or under stress is close to 6,260 million. That is the traffic that we have towards Middle East. 1 month impact would be close to 2,066 million, and 1 day impact would be 66.6 million. Now, this is the capacity impact. What would be the rupee impact or the rupees crore impact? Now, if you are assuming the yield of 5.3 rupees that the company generates, then the potential or the notional revenue loss every day would be close to 35 crore rupees. And if this issue persists for 1 month, then the actual notional loss could be close to 1,095 crore rupees for Indigo. On the fixed cost side, generally for an airline company, 40% of the cost is fixed while the remaining 60% is variable. Now, assuming the fixed cost, assuming that the unit cost is close to 4.73, the number that we had seen in the 3rd quarter of FY26, fixed cost would be close to 1.89 rupees, which means that the everyday fixed cost loss is close to 12.6 crore, and the actual fixed cost loss, if this issue persists for 1 month, is close to 391 crore, and this will be the actual impact that would come in on the net profit of the company. So that's the second one. And the third one is the oil issue. Nearly 40% of the total cost for an airline is fuel cost, and Indigo has limited fuel hedging as we have seen in the past. And as per analysts, for every $5 per barrel increase in the Brent prices, EPS impact for Indigo is close to 13%. And so far, we have seen crude prices increase to around $85 per barrel in the past 3 days from around $71, $72 per barrel that we had seen earlier. However, do remember that the impact of the same will be realized in a lag effect. So if we have to see the impact on Indigo's financial of this increasing crude oil prices, crude prices need to remain around these level even going forward. So that's when the actual impact will come in. But clearly a triple whammy coming in for Indigo at this moment.
Thank you so much. Quite an insightful link that you gave us on the entire aviation space. But shifting focus from aviation to currency, we're seeing rupee hit record lows, and to discuss as to how this will fare going forward, we're joined by Naveen Mathur, who's the Director, Commodity Currency and Gift City, IFSC as well, at Anand Rathi, joining us now. Naveen, thank you so much for taking out the time. We're seeing continuous, record lows on rupee right now. What is it that you now are kind of penciling in when it goes to rupee as compared to or as stacked up against dollar?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the call, and good afternoon to all the viewers. I think there is a depreciative stance on the rupee. The dollar is appreciating as a safe haven currency. Plus, the weakness definitely is surrounded by the surging crude prices and the Middle East tensions, which we all know would raise the inflationary concerns. It seems like that the rupee did touch an all-time low of 92.30 and currently at around 92.24. Looks like that the RBI has intervened by selling dollars to support the rupee. But still, having said that, the rupee definitely has a depreciative stance. The oil prices, I think, as mentioned earlier too in the call, would remain heightened because of the concerns with respect to the Strait of Hormuz and the risks surrounded that, which may tighten the supply, the energy supplies to an extent. So I think the current account deficit, all the Middle East tensions, the global economy impact would lead to the safe haven demand of the currencies like dollar, the Japanese yen, and the Swiss franc, which would also have the negative impact beyond the geopolitics to the rupee factor.
And Naveen, just trying to understand, because, you track commodities as well. There is crude, there is gold, silver, all of them, spiking because of this entire war escalation. What's the view like on these?
Yeah, so the safe haven currency, like I would say commodities like the bullion, particularly gold and silver, they surge on the safe haven demand. So, and whatever we are seeing is a right situation for the safe haven demand to come into gold. I will not talk too much about the silver as a safe haven demand, but gold definitely, because silver is around 60% consumption on the industrial metals too. So I would say, means whatever plus we would see on the prices for both gold and silver would be largely due to the safe haven demand. But at the same time, we also would need to consider that the dollar might appreciate, which would be negative for the dollar-denominated prices for gold and silver. So I think it will be kind of neutral because of the safe haven demand and the surge in the dollar, which may impact on the other side for the gold prices. So, but then definitely neutral to positive for both gold and silver. And at the same time, whatever the energy markets are talking about in terms of the supply, in terms of the concerns with respect to the supply coming in from the Strait of Hormuz, particularly to the Asian countries, would be negative for the crude prices and negative in terms of the prices would increase, so to say.
Okay,
but
all right.
as of this particular moment, we see the crude at around $82 to $85
Right.
on the WTI.
Okay, Naveen, thank you so much for helping us understand the entire perspective with regards to where the commodity and currency goes and taking out the time and speaking with us at NDTV Profit. The other basket that is in focus today is sugar, because sugar prices see a strong up move. In fact, all of these stocks buzzing in trade today and globally and back at home, driven by tighter supply expectations and better ethanol economics. Now, the rally is also improving because of export visibility for Indian sugar mills. Sharad joins us with, kind of help us understand as to what this perspective is and what's powering this wheat surge. Sharad, I think the concerns that Dubai is one of the largest exporters or refiners rather for sugar and attacks happening there could probably be beneficial for Indian sugar companies. What are you picking up?
Well, right, the sugar stocks have been buzzing in trade and a very welcome move coming in a sea of red today. But remember the US sugar futures, last time I checked, that had climbed almost 14 cents per pound over the last two trading sessions. Now, this means that the geopolitical tensions have gone up, crude has gone up, ethanol prices have gone up, and of course, the demand, or you could say the diversion which can happen from Brazil, which is one of the largest exporters in the world, they might feel that ethanol diversion might be much economical if you compare that with the sugar exports, and that is why we are seeing some kind of a positive up move coming in the international prices. Remember, the domestic sugar prices were actually on the lower side because of the supply glut. The domestic prices have also increased a bit and they have come actually in a parity with the global prices, and when that happens, definitely the export becomes very viable for the Indian sugar players, and that's what we are seeing, a positive momentum coming in the Indian sugar stocks, and largely we are seeing some kind of an export quota open also in this season which was there. So this is the reason why all the sugar stocks are buzzing in trade.
Okay, Sharad, thank you so much for giving us that perspective. But with that, we're completely out of time on this edition of Markets at 12. But do stay tuned to NDTV Profit for more news and updates on the other side.
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है,
Where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decision. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your Automate.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversation. And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds,
Hello and welcome to NDTV Profit. You're watching Trending Stocks with me, Hiral Daria and Sharad Dubey, standing at the NDTV Profit Market Pit with all the action in the market today. Sharad, the pressure has continued. In fact, the first day when we saw the markets react to the war was not as deep as what we're seeing in terms of today's session, and that's the story of the day. It is escalating. Markets are going deeper. What are you picking up?
Exactly, Hiral, and of course it's unfortunate because you're seeing a selling happening across the board. India, Asia, all the global assets are under pain. Just look at that, it's below that 24,400 mark and it's still not showing any sign of recovery for Nifty. Let's see how Nifty Bank is panning out. It seems like it's going to show you the same thing. It's a gap down opening and nothing major happening. Both of the benchmark indices down 2%. What are the key factors right now to watch out for? That's very much important right now. Especially, let's talk about how the numbers are actually panning out. If you could show Thailand and South Korea markets, they have already hit their circuit levels. Thailand falling 8%, South Korea falling 12%. That's the concern. Long only investors, only you should buy the dip in important ETFs and select stocks. But nevertheless, rupee has hit its record low levels and it's weakened past that 92 per dollar mark as well, and that's also impacting the market. Brent crude prices have spiked above that $80 mark and it's sustaining here. Apart from this, also the India VIX, that's at 10-month high levels in the last 3 sessions, Hiral. It went up 50% and that's where the concern starts coming in. Right now it's above 21. All key sectors are in the red. Only 2 sectors are there which are giving a little bit of respite to the markets. That is of course sugar and the IT space, but risk of sentiment across the asset classes. We need to wait until the key levels come out. If you're tracking the indices or stock specific moves, dollar indexes, that's near that 100 mark. It's strengthening for the 3rd straight day. That means the safe haven movement is going towards dollars as well as little bit of gold, but not bonds as well. But yes, too much stress coming in the markets, too much stress coming in the numbers, too much stress coming on the portfolio. Over to you, Hiral.
Thank you so much for that. Stress across portfolios is what you're seeing, and that's absolutely evident in the watch list that we have bought for you as well. L&T, high Middle East revenue exposure is what has put pressure for consecutive sessions of declines coming in on this counter. Shriram Finance as well is the biggest drop that the stock has seen in 21 months. Metal counters are also buzzing in trade. In fact, the war implications is what JP Morgan is highlighting. Indigo, the hike in ETF price likely is what is putting pressure on Indigo, and a revenue loss that's coming in on the back of flight cancellations that are happening. Titan also has a high Middle East revenue exposure, and that's the reason why the pressure continues. Coal India is also in focus, and you have a Tata Motors PV, which is seeing pressure because Land Rover volumes have declined 19%. Defense rally continues amid the war escalation and some contract wins coming in the hands of Paras Defense. Tejas Network is an extended rally post the 5G order, with smart moves coming in on that counter. And in fact, this is the only company that offers the service for which it is rallying. Ola Electric, now Holy Delights is what they're offering. But if you see in terms of what's happened to their market share, it's the least. It's, I think, away from that the fifth stage as well. And still that stock is seeing some recovery in today's session. Natco Pharma, one of the launches that they've done in the US is providing it some boost. And Rain Industries is a volume buzzer. Petronet LNG, you have the LNG blackout, which is impacting that, and MGL. And the global tensions are lifting the sugar sentiment in India. So that's what is on our watch list. But Sharad, I'll pass it across to you to take the rapid fire with Rajesh Bhosle of Angel One.
Thanks a lot, Hiral, for that. Good afternoon, Rajesh. Always a pleasure to have you in our show. But Rajesh, most of our stocks, likely we are going to ask stop loss or maybe a positional buy because the situation is happening as such. The first stock is Shriram Finance. Of course, the valuations were on the higher side. Stock has run up. But do you see in this fall a medium-term positional buy comes in, or you'll avoid this counter?
So Sharad, this stock has been an outperformer. If we see the chart structure of last 6 months, it has been trading in a higher top, higher bottom structure. But today we are seeing a bearish formation. In fact, on the weekly charts, we are seeing an evening star kind of pattern. So in the short term, we expect further slip in this counter. So as of now, we would suggest to avoid. But if the stock slip towards 950, which is its 89 EMA, that would be the ideal level to add on. As of now, we would suggest to avoid catching this falling knife. Wait for a further dip towards the levels of 950.
And Rajesh, your views on Tata Steel and JSW Steel, both of these ferrous candidates taking a beating in the day's trading session?
Yeah, similar kind of chart structure, both Tata Steel and JSW Steel. Till last session, it was showing relative strength, holding on to its short-term 20-day EMA. But today, we are seeing a sharp cut of more than 6 and 7%. So as of now, we expect further slippage in both this counter. Possibly, if we see Tata Steel can slip towards the levels of 185, and similarly, if we see JSW Steel, it has also broken below its recent higher bottom. So we expect further slip in JSW Steel as well, where prices of around 1150 can be retested. So as of now, high volatility is there in both this counter. So avoid as of now.
All right, Rajesh, next stock is Coal India. Channel checks are also suggesting that the Feb dispatches might be on the lower side as well. Your views on the technical charts?
So very strong formations. In fact, in the today, if we see fresh breakout is there on the derivative front as well. Long formation is there, and it's trading at the highest point of the week. So despite broader market sell-off, this stock is showing relative strength, and we expect that this stock can move towards the levels of around 450 to 455 levels. So a positive approach can be kept with a stop loss below 420 levels.
All right, of course, Coal India is a low beta and a dividend play as well. But next stock, Rajesh, is Paras Defense and Zen-Tech. These stocks are buzzing, of course, on the order flows as well. Your views on these technical charts, and either of these two, which one would be your pick?
Paras Defense look very interesting. If we see since November, it was trading volatile within the range of 620 and 740. Fortunately, it has now broken the high side, also 200 DMA. And if you see, sharp volumes are there. So we expect Paras defense can move towards the levels of around 780 to 790 level. Similarly, Zentek is looking positive, but it's still trading in a consolidation. We'll wait for prices to break above 1450. Once that is taken out, then possibly the stock can head towards the levels of 1600. So as of now, Zentek could be the wait, but Paras defense definitely looks positive.
And Rajesh, your view on Tejas Networks, important company development also coming in as a form of product launch, but last 4-5 trading sessions, the stock has given a parabolic move. Good time to book your profits now on this counter?
So yeah, definitely one of the underperforming counters, but in the last 1 week it has surprised, and a sharp move from the levels of around 300 to 490 as of now. I would suggest booking some kind of profit when it comes around 530 to 540 levels, because now the indicators are moving into the overbought zone, and also we see a strong 200 DMA. So we would suggest somewhere around 530, 540, at least partial longs can be booked.
And an interesting counter, Ola Electric. Market is going one side, the other side this stock is going. Is this a dead cat bounce or value is emerging now?
Yeah, so definitely a dead cat bounce. I mean, this kind of news bounce is there, but we don't expect it to sustain. I mean, the prices are struggling on any kind of bounce towards it 20 EMA. So we'll suggest any bounce towards 27 to 28 should be taken as an exit opportunity.
Right. And Rajesh, your quick view on Natco Pharma as well. This stock at times always gets institutional support, even if all the pharma packs go down. There is a contra bet coming into this picture. But how is the technical chart suggesting for Natco Pharma?
So on the weekly chart, there is a double bottom kind of breakout. So we are bullish on this counter. Possibly the stock can move towards the levels of 1050 to 1100. So from the morning highs, it has come off, but we remain positive for the levels of around 1100.
And kind of an alumni proxy from the chemical space is Rain Industries also. Your views on that? What levels to track?
I mean, we'll wait for Rain Industries. I mean, today it's under tremendous pressure, and it has also breached the 200 DMA. The stock may slip towards the levels of around 115 to 120. So we'll wait for Rain Industries as of now.
And Rajesh, views on the sugar stocks, Dalmia Bharat, Balrampur Chini, either of the sugar stocks. Of course, this is a very small trade, the way it looks like. It's not maybe a positional trade. Do you think a good up move can come from here, Rajesh?
So Balrampur Chini has an interesting chart structure. We can see a inverse head and shoulder pattern breakout on the daily chart, and prices are now well above short-term moving averages. So positionally, we can expect a move towards the levels of around 530, 540. If in case there is any kind of dip towards 470, that can be bought.
All right, that's rapid fire for you. Over to you, Hiral.
So much for that, interesting names, and as Sharad pointed out, it's the sugar pack that is in focus. Now, the question that everyone has right now is how India stands to benefit when it comes to sugar and the Iran-Israel war. Mr. Praval Vitlani, Chairman of ISTA, All India Sugar Trade Association, joins us. Mr. Vitlani, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to speak to you. My question coming to you is, currently the area of contention is why are sugar stocks buzzing in trade today, and how does India stand to benefit when it comes to the Iran-Israel war? Because we are talking about Iraq and Dubai, which has the largest sugar refineries. Any disruption over there probably could mean some bit of positiveness in terms of Indian sugar mills as well. Your initial take?
Yeah, thank you for inviting All India Sugar Traders on ISTA. And regarding the sugar stock buzzing today, India is well settled with required production, and we have some room of 3-4 lakh ton for exports. But the world is engulfed. Actually, everywhere the position is surplus in the world. So the thought on the sector is going on that due to this situation, geographical situation. The highest producing sucrose is the Brazil, and Brazil have two-tier system, ethanol as well as your sugar. So the prices on Leafy Nibot is 5-year low today, and season is likely to start by end of this month or next week in Brazil. So the industry in Brazil will opt to produce more ethanol than the sugar. So this is a support to the 5-year low price of this thing, Leafy and Nibot international markets. Plus, how India is going to benefit is that there is a pending demand of the sugar industry to increase the ethanol procurement price by OMC. Once though we don't wish that this battle goes more time, but crude price if goes up continuously, then there will be a chance, a room for government to increase the procurement price of ethanol by OMC from the sugar millers. Third thing is like, the vessels which are come to Indian countries, Asian countries and the Gulf countries, they are being, that will get disturbed to have from Brazil. So some demand from the neighbor countries will come to India. So
Right.
there will be a small room for export.
Right.
So 2-3 reasons are there.
Right, Prafulji, hi, this is Sharad here. Good afternoon, always a pleasure to have you. I just wanted to ask, because India does have some neighboring countries where they're given their exports, like Afghanistan is there, and a couple of more countries are there. Just because of the parity of the sugar, domestic sugar prices and the global sugar prices, will this mean that there might be more exports coming in for the other countries also?
No, I see. First of all, Sir, nice talking to you. The two things are the beta risk factor in while doing the sugar trade is the transportation from Brazil. Brazil takes 1.5 months, whereas India can get delivered within 10-15 days. So your risk ratio is lower while buying Indian sugar. Indian sugar is having highest, we can say, sucrose into it. That is 99.8 world's number one. And pricing, we are not matching. We don't have parity. That is the concern, because we are onto the lower stock. Maybe closing stock could be, according to our January, around 43-44 lakh, which is required for the domestic this thing. We have expected, we have make a projection in January that there will be a 7 lakh metric ton exports. So that room can be cleared immediately, because the person who need immediate sugar, they can buy from India.
Okay. Mr. Vitlani, then what's the kind of impact you're seeing when it comes to prices? In the near term, are you seeing any trends? Because India as a market, at least from a domestic front, is very controlled. But anything that you see in terms of, apart from ethanol sugar pricing?
Yeah, see, actually, ethanol pricing is also very well, controlled by the central government. Even the monthly quota restrict a sugar mill to sell how much quantity is being decided by the central government. But at the time of when the entire world is in surplus, we are not that much surplus which we can offer more exports as such. So we need our own domestic consumption also. So I personally, we had projections of 293 lakh ton in January, and within a day or two we are going to revise second estimate and in that we are looking that it will be slightly lower than 293. So yes, there is a room is less from India to export as such, particularly sugar sector is concerned. And now the season is almost going to be over by 15th of March. So making ethanol will also be a slightly difficult.
So, two things that are fueling the sugar rally and trade today. But thank you, Mr. Vitlani, so much for joining in. It's always a pleasure to speak to you as well. So, when Brazil comes in, they might divert to ethanol production versus sugar. So, two, there are chances that if crude prices keep going up, there is a potential that crude procurement prices will also inch up. What all these sugar companies get from OMCs, that's number one. And two, when it comes to neighboring exports, India could be one of the preferred destinations as well, because we do have a surplus and the quantum that Mr. Bitlani also mentioned. So that could be a benefit, because the margins, when you talk about exported sugar versus domestic, is always higher. So that becomes a beneficiary for all of them as well. But let's quickly look at what's on Google Trends today, because we've highlighted a few of the stocks that are on NDTV Profit's radar. But let's see what's on Google's radar today. ICICI Bank, that stock is down. RVNL, BEL, GAIL and Adani Power. These are the ones which are trending on Google as well. In fact, Rajesh, let me come to you. A dip in terms of ICICI Bank, if you have to look at it, do you think that it's an opportunity there?
If you see today's candlestick pattern, it's a open low Marubozu kind of structure, and it has formed exactly on its previous swing low. So with a stop loss of around 1320, yes, a contra bet can be done, expecting a bounce back towards the levels of around 1380 to 1390 levels.
Apart from that, how are you looking at a BEL and a GAIL?
So BEL has come up from the higher levels, but overall the chart structure remains positive. And on Monday there was a strong breakout. So BEL, we are positive on this counter. Somewhere around 430 to 440 there is a strong base formation, and over a period of time we expect BEL to move towards the levels of around 485 to 490 levels. GAIL, if we see, there is a sharp gap down opening. Recently it failed to cross its 200 DMA, and we expect the struggle to continue. Possibly GAIL can retest the levels of around 145 levels. So as of now, we'll suggest to avoid GAIL.
Thanks a lot, Rajesh, for that. But moving on, amid this ongoing geopolitical crisis, the Indian shipping companies are facing a lot of problem. And interestingly, Anil Devli, he's the CEO at Indian National Ship Owners Association. He has stated that due to this, the freight rates can increase 3 times. Do listen in.
The insurance, incidentally, I must clarify here for your information, is the insurance has not been taken away. What happens is that the insurance companies, because a war-like situation develops, they come back and say, now within this area, whatever standard insurance you have is now not valid, and you need an additional war risk premium. So starting today, the war risk premium would apply to ships which are going to be in that region, and the cost is dramatically going to increase. At this stage, our vessels freight rates are fixed, at least all of these vessels which I mentioned, this 37 ships. So those freight rates will not change. But any new contracts that start from tomorrow or day after, those will see higher freight charges being levied. Very difficult to give you a figure, but from going by general relativities, I think you can take it that freight rates will go up at least 3 times, if not less. For example, on the container side, CMA, CGM, etc., have already announced a surcharge of about $3,500 on a 20-foot box, for example. So that's really 4 times, going up to 4 times the freight rate.
Well, that's a very interesting take on the shipping rates and the freight rates going ahead. But joining us is Gaurang. Good afternoon, Gaurang. Short time, but definitely your views on these important developments coming in the geopolitical tensions, especially on the shipping costs, shipping companies actually, Shipping Corporation of India and even AG Shipping. Your views on that, because the rates are going to go up and it'll be positive for them.
Thank you so much, Sharat, for having me on the show. Good afternoon to all the viewers of NDTV Profit, and to you and to Hiral as well. A small disclosure, all recommendations are a part of our fundamental research stream recommendation. Our company, Jujit, or myself, do not have any kind of personal investments, no financial interest, no conflict of interest, but we give advice to our clients on similar lines. They might have their investment interest. See, the risk premium goes up, as you were listening into the gentleman who was speaking just before me, and the cost eventually lands up at the customer's end. And this is not the first time, Sharad, we have seen such premium shoot up, including the Baltic Index, which is the index that gives you a kind of a view as to which way the freight rates are moving. With this, and given the fact that almost half a dozen containers or crude oil carriers or container ships have been set ablaze, I think it's only going to be a big question as to who will have the courage and the guts to send vessels through that route. I think it's going to be equally dangerous. And I think Iran has already mentioned that they are controlling the Strait of Hormuz, and any vessel which will be passing through will be dealt with severe consequences and circumstances. So I think it's going to be very, very challenging. Difficult times, but I think we'll have to sail through these difficult times.
I mean, they are difficult times, but Gaurang, good afternoon, Hiral here. I want to talk to you about L&T. 4 consecutive sessions of declines. I think in the last 5 sessions, it's little over 12% in terms of cuts. Middle East contributes around 37% of the total order book, and it's critical growth engine for the company as well. Now, Middle East, actually, if you have to look at the new order inflows as well, it's around 33% that the contribution has come in during the 9 months of FY26. The international order book, which is at around 3.6 lakh crores, 49% of that total international order book concentration is Middle East, and over 80% of the international order book is concentrated from that source. You can see the numbers on the screens as well, the contribution that they get from Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait and Oman as well. And the projects in this region are heavily weighted towards hydrocarbons, power transmission, distribution, renewables, large-scale infrastructure. So there is a potential execution risk that comes in over here as well. There could be project delays. There is supply chain and logistic issues as well on the back of the closure of sea routes like Strait of Hormuz and the airspace closures. What would you do, Gaurang, with the L&T? Because the debate over here is right now, yes, a lot of pressure points that are building in, but once things have to be rebuilt, it becomes an opportunity for the same company. Would you say then this is an opportunity for an investor to buy into a L&T?
Hiral, good afternoon to you as well. Since Monday onwards, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of obituaries have been written about L&T and the kind of order book that they have in the West Asia / Middle East, and how difficult it is going to be, at least in the short to medium term, to carry any kind of execution of that order book. And I come from the same school of thought that you're coming from. Whatever gets destroyed needs to be rebuilt stronger than what it was built earlier. And there are going to be many more projects that are going to be coming up. The big question over here, Hiral, is that how and when and in which form and on what date this mess that has been created by US and Israel does get sorted out. I don't think we can have a near date of this particular geopolitical situation and the resolution on that. But I strongly believe, and as a disclosure, Hiral, we have a positive coverage on L&T. Targets are somewhere close to about 4,500 plus. So the risk reward is extremely favorable. And I think after 2 days of deep cuts, the stock has managed to stabilize a little bit from the lower levels that we saw in the morning. It has recovered a little bit on the upside. So, and given the track record of L&T, Hiral, I don't think you can write off L&T just like that. Long term, stay invested. If you have investable amount, you can add to your investments. And if somebody is looking for fresh investments, I would definitely advise that.
Stay invested, or you can look at investing as well. But thank you, Gaurang, so much for joining in. Always a pleasure. We're running short of time today. But thank you from Sharad, the team that put the show together, and myself. There's lots lined up on NDTV Profit. The impact in terms of shipping companies, impact in terms of pharma companies, hospital chains, all of this and more in the latter shows that you will see on NDTV Profit. But thank you so much for joining in. Up next is Lunchtime Trades.
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है
Where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
new year. New power panel. India Market Open. Now in its boldest lineup. This is where the trends get tested and stocks get conviction.
I'll recommend a buy call on a stock only when I'm fully convinced on the stock. With a table thumping buy.
And when the street wants the levels, he brings the chart.
Charts speak the truth, and I deliver the levels with no frills.
Parag Thakkar and Kush Bohra are now part of the morning crew with Tamanna, Neeraj and Alex. Same show, sharper voices. Every morning on India Market Open, your favorite market show just got better. On NDTV Profit, for your profit.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
All right.
Conflict in Middle East enters its fifth day. Fresh Israel strikes pound Iranian missile infrastructure while Iran attacks expand across the Gulf. Despite the killing of Supreme Leader and the heavy bombing of Iran, the Islamic Republic's leaders refuse to immediately return to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son Mujtaba, elected as the next supreme leader of Iran, the 56-year-old cleric has been a power broker in Iran but holds no public office currently. And South Korea's Kospi plunges more than 12%, extending a steep sell-off from the last session as the war escalates. Kospi stopped trading for temporarily after hitting a circuit amid a broader Asian sell-off. Talking about markets back home, then broader risk-off sentiment finds its way to Dalal Street as well. Nifty slips more than 400 points while Sensex plunges more than 1,400 points as well. Metals, realty and PSU banks were the top sectoral laggards, with all major sectors in the red. Oil and gold, meanwhile, benefit from soaring geopolitical risk premium. Brent crude extends gains above $82 a barrel. The yellow metal as well hovers close to a record high amid renewed safe haven demand. On the flip side then, amid escalating tensions in the Gulf and geopolitical uncertainty, rupee opens at a record low. The Indian currency hovers close to a record low of 92.30 versus the US dollar as demand for more RBI intervention gathers pace. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching Lunchtime Trades with me, Shreyansi Singh, and this is the show that gets you a roundup of everything that is happening in the world of commodities, news and updates as well on the top buzzers at this hour, all while you grab lunch. But before we do that, a quick look at the markets, and it's largely the risk-off sentiment that is actually making its way to the markets here as well. When you talk about the Dalal Street, you're looking at a cut of about 400 points thereabout. As far as the Nifty is concerned, when you talk about Sensex as well, the cut is a gash actually, because you're looking at about a 1300 point knock coming in as far as the Sensex is also concerned. With that in mind, let's quickly take a look at the list of sectors. Amid the kind of sell-off that you're seeing, you have all sectors barring one, IT just holding on to a tinge of green, and that too just in the last few minutes. You've seen just that little bit of green coming back to IT, if you can even call it that right now. But it's actually metals that are ailing in trade right now, so that's about a 4.5% cut coming in. For the metals pack, PSU banks, realty, auto, media, oil and gas, all of your top sectoral laggards exactly in that order. When you talk about the list of stocks as well, you're looking at something like a Petronet LNG, Mahanagar Gas, Force Motors, Tata Steel, SAIL as well as JK Tyre that are down anywhere between about 7 to 9%. When you talk about the list of losers from within the Nifty 50 pack as well, similar list that you're looking at, L&T 5.5% cut coming in on that one. Something like an SBI Life, Interglobe as well, where you do have that triple whammy coming in for Interglobe Aviations and 4% cut coming in on even that counter. When you talk about the list of gainers from within the Nifty 50 pack, something like Coal India is holding up quite well, and even Infosys and Bharti Airtel, those are the only top 3 gainers that you have right now from within the Nifty 50 pack at least. So that's largely the picture that you have. Of course, it's declines that you're looking at more than advances. So when you talk about the advanced decline ratio as well, very heavily tilted in the favor of declines, and that's 1:9 that you're looking at in terms of the advanced decline ratio as well. So about 2,100 stocks thereabout in red as we speak. So that's largely the kind of picture that you have. Red is really the color that the Lal Street is also carrying even today as the sell-off continues. But with that in mind, let's also shift focus onto the world of commodities, where you're seeing a different kind of ripple effect really when it comes to the West Asian conflicts, what is Middle East for the West and what's West Asia for us. But with that in mind, let's quickly take a look at some of these developments coming in as far as the world of commodities is concerned, because you do have a bunch of these updates that have been pouring in. So when you talk about oil prices, they're largely by and large extending gains. And that's largely the sense that you've had also ever since the conflict even kicked off. When you talk about the forecast coming in, you do have something like Goldman hiking their average second quarter Brent price forecast as well by about $10. So that should give you a little bit of an understanding when it comes to the trend going forward as well. Of course, we'll be getting your insights in just a bit. Before we do that, quickly taking a look at gold as well, because you're seeing quite the recovery coming in from the last session as well. When you talk about gold, dip buyers largely entering the market, and the market is fraught with risk. And those risks, in fact, are going to be something that we'll be talking about now, because we do have Dinesh Somani, founder, Pro IntelliTrade Services, and Kunal Shah, head commodities research at Nirmal Bang, joining us this afternoon. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking time out and joining us. It is a very interesting afternoon that you have had thus far, and that's been the kind of trajectory broadly that you've seen when it comes to the commodity landscape as well. Firstly, Mr. Somani, I'll come to you with the entire picture when you talk about oil. Do you think that the geopolitical risk premium has been sufficiently digested, if you can say that about the risk premium right now?
To some extent, we can definitely say, because crude oil prices risen more than 16 to 18% in the last 2 to 3 sessions. If I look at last 10 to 12 sessions, it made a gain of almost close to 26 to 28%. The supply disruption that has came because of the Strait of Hormuz is close to 20-25%. And I think that much prices escalation has already happened. Probably we may see some relief or we can see profit broking today at the end of the session, and prices would stabilize around 68.50 in MCX market.
And that's something that you're looking at when you talk about oil prices as well. Mr. Shah, I'll also take the question across to you. I wanted to quickly try and understand what you think is going to be the path going forward. Of course, geopolitical risk premium is something that we've discussed. I wanted to try and understand what you think it's going to be looking like for oil prices in the next 3 months and for the next week.
I think for week and 3 months, from both point of view, the major thing to watch out for will be whether any oil fields are getting attacked and getting a supply disruption. So far, we've seen refineries being attacked, not in major oil fields. That is one. And second, what I want to see is when the Strait of Hormuz opens up. Okay, these are the only two things one should keep, because the longer this delay is taking place, the longer the Strait of Hormuz remain closed. I think the price will again go up gradually, because what happens is that right now we have a scenario where a lot of ships are on the way and about to reach their destinations. So we may not feel the shortage. But if this continues for another 10-15 days and the Strait of Hormuz doesn't open, then I think we have a big crisis on our hand where the prices may abruptly shoot up and test 3-digit very soon. So I think the sooner this Strait of Hormuz gets open, better for the world and vice versa.
Absolutely, and Mr. Somani, I wanted to take that point across to you as well, because when you talk about this particular conflict, just 5 days into the conflict, it's very difficult to try and predict what's going to happen from here on. And given the kind of headlines, it's actually quite unpredictable right now, and volatility is the name of the game right now when it comes to commodities as well. But with that in mind, Mr. Somani, it does look like it's going to be a little bit of a protracted conflict. Is that the sense that you're also gathering? And with that in mind, how are you looking at the entire disruption when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz?
We already witnessed the disruption. Prices have escalated quite a bit, and a move of close to 30% is actually huge in just 10 to 15 days. The prices were stabilizing around $60, $65, and suddenly they went up to $77. I think the WTI crude would escalate further to $81 or $82, and probably at that point of time, I think the supply destruction would ease out. Probably there may be a possibility as well that the OPEC countries would increase their output as well, and the supply is going to ease. As and when I said that from there are statements from US that they are going to make the energy supplies to all over the world. They make sure that the vessels carries that insurance, and probably even the Navy would help to make those vessels free from Strait of Hormuz. So things would come down in next 3 to 5 days, and probably we may see max to max $80 to $82 by that.
Absolutely, and Mr. Shah, when you move the focus onto gold as well, and when you take a look at the path forward, when you talk about gold as well, what you're looking at is that one, there's of course inflationary risks that you have on the back of this entire conflict. Other than that, you do have a bunch of uncertainty that has really entered the conversation right now when it comes to the entire Fed trajectory as well. Is that the sense that you're looking at right now when it comes to both of these factors?
I think gold, if you look what has happened ever since this war has started, broken out. So from Monday onwards, we are seeing a constant pressure in gold. So Monday morning, it was up almost by $100. And ever since then, we are seeing gold making new lows. Yesterday, gold prices tested $5,000. And after that, we've seen a sharp rebound taking place. So I believe that what is happening in gold right now is the capitulation. Deleveraging trade is going on, like South Korea market. If you look what happened today, 12%, 13% down, but that was up by 26% on from the 1st January till day before yesterday. It was up by 26%. So what if it goes down by 14%? The deleveraging, some people have to book some of their profits wherever they have incurred profits in order to manage their losses. And that is what is happening right now. Even with the gold, people are having a big margin calls in some of the other asset class, and hence gold has been sold off and in this kind of volatility, and they are paying their M2M. So I believe that deleveraging is going on right now, which should prevent any sharp spike in gold futures. 50 to 50, 50 to 30, 60 good levels to sell, and I think gold also eventually should remain under pressure.
Absolutely, and Mr. Somani, when you're looking at the technical charts when it comes to oil as well, when you're looking at the prompt spread, in fact, you're looking at a differential of about $3. When you look at the difference between the two contracts, essentially, it looks like a little bit of a bullish pattern that you're seeing when it comes to oil prices already, and we're just 5 days into the conflict. What are you looking at when it comes to the entire technical picture when you talk about oil, and how are you looking at it for the next 3 months as well?
Yes, the oil prices were wrestling around the $68, $70 mark, and posed to that level, that process, and it made up the high of almost $77. So the technical breakout is already in place, and things are moving in that particular direction. So a dip is probably on cards as of now, because a rally of 16-80% should have a correction, and the correction may last up to $72, $73. From there, I think prices would move up again at $10 to $12 to $81 or $83, and probably that prices are going to stabilize at that point in the next 1.5 months. So I don't expect much crude oil prices to go beyond $83 as of now.
Absolutely, and Mr. Shah, I wanted to come to you with that point, get your closing comments as well. When you think about somebody who's already invested in a market like this, there's a bunch of volatility that you're looking at right now. So given that entire backdrop, what should somebody who's holding on to their positions when it comes to gold and silver, when it comes to either the physical commodity or ETFs as well, what should they be doing? And Mr. Somani, I'll come back to you with the same question.
hold on. I mean, there's no reason this kind of volatility, this kind of the period of unprecedented volatility is a new norm right now. We've seen that in gold and silver. Now we are seeing that in equities also. So I think one should really brace themselves against this kind of moves. Long-term trend should not change. The long-term fundamental doesn't change with this short-term volatility. This is a part and parcel of the game, and I believe that one should have adequate risk management policy in place in order to counter such moves. Otherwise, if you ask me from the long-term point of view, yeah, you should continue to hold.
All right, then continue to hold. That's the word coming in from Mr. Shah as well. Mr. Somani, like I said, I want to come back to you with the same question because everything that we knew about how the market is going to be functioning is really out the window right now. A lot of our assumptions are changing against that evolving backdrop. What should somebody who's already invested and has chips on the table be doing?
I think one should get accustomed to these kind of volatility because these things are going to persist for now. Because at times gold was trading at a range of $2,200 to $3,000, and now it moved past to $5,000. So accordingly, volatility has to increase, and one should get accustomed to these kind of situations. One who is not able to manage this kind of risk reward, I think he should be not part of the game. Probably, I think things are going to stabilize ahead. Prices are going to move up again because the geopolitical conditions are now going to remain. And if there are more rate cut chances in the US, I think they would definitely support gold and silver prices. So long-term traders should definitely be invested. Short-term intraday players should avoid for time being. That's my suggestion.
All right then, thank you so much Mr. Somani as well as Mr. Shah for taking time out and joining us this afternoon. So the real verdict coming in here is that if you have an iron stomach, then you should be taking positions and changing things. If not, stay there, hold on to the kind of positions that you have when it comes to the entire commodities complex. But with that in mind, it's time for a very quick break right here on Lunchtime Trades. More news and updates on the other side.
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है
where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज करता हूँ।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, it's time now to take a look at the pharma sector as well, because you do have war-driven disruptions and rising transit costs that are set to hit the Indian pharma exports as well, just as the industry enters a crucial shipping month. Freight, insurance and rerouting costs are spiking, and US-bound consignments are already facing delays. Now, Nimit Dixit is joining in with the full report there. Nimit.
Indian pharmaceutical companies continue to face blow. Even as they're reeling now from the Trump tariffs, an additional charge is going to be put on all exports from India owing to the escalating Middle Eastern crisis. Freight charges, insurance premiums, and reroute transit costs are all going up owing to the closure of the Hormuz Strait, even as the Iranian government now says that they have control over the entire strait. And this comes, some senior sources say, in the most crucial month of March, where sales targets and pressure is at a high, and most companies are looking to close those accounts. What we have to understand is 65% of India's pharmaceutical export is done by sea. This is primarily done through the Strait of Hormuz route. Now, the reroute cost itself is going to increase that transport time through the Cape of Good Hope by 15 to 20 days. That means additional cost, additional freight charges, and of course, a renegotiated risk premium. The remaining is done through air. A lot of this is controlled substances, which are drugs which need to be carried under particular requirements such as temperature. These are done by air. Now, a very senior person at one of these companies says that these companies are now scrambling to find alternative routes to Dubai, which was a major transit hub for them all this while. But the bigger problem is that these controlled substances require permits, and these permits have to provide the route that is being taken. So if you have to reroute, you have to reapply for the permit with the government, which is going to take its own time. Now, in terms of impact, the Indian Drug Manufacturers Association says that this is going in the short term to impact escalation costs, of course, but it's also going to affect shipping schedules because of the uncertain nature of the way shipping is happening through the Hormuz Strait and how much shipping has to be rerouted now through the Cape of Good Hope. It is important to understand here that India exported 30 billion worth of pharmaceutical products last year, 60% of that going to the EU and the US markets, 10 billion to the US alone, 1 billion, of course, to the Middle East. What this means is there's going to be a large cost addition, some experts say to the tune of 20% on pharmaceutical exporters. Lastly, it's also important to note that the government and these industry bodies over pharmaceuticals are looking at the situation closely. They're in a wait and watch mode, but sources say it is likely that they will meet in the near future to determine how best they can cushion the pressure that these pharmaceutical companies are facing.
No, absolutely, and thank you so much, Nimit, for getting us all of those details. But that's not the only sector that is going to be under pressure. Of course, we'll keep getting you the latest updates when it comes to this particular war, either on the right-hand side of your screen or the bottom of your screen, and on the channel as well. But let's also decode the sector-specific impact, keep it going with the sectors. In fact, JP Morgan has come out with a note when it comes to the entire metals pack. There's a bunch of stocks that are also in focus. Even other than that, Jasmeet is joining in with that entire list.
Well, thank you for that. We have JP Morgan's note which speaks about overall metal pack. What they say is they give an understanding of how the metals would react given the overall Middle East issue. What they say is Middle East conflict could have some implications over the overall metal pack, including Indian metals and mining stocks as well. While they make a note stating that they see a potential near-term bullishness risk for aluminium manufacturer, that's Vedanta and Hindalco. While they expect a minimum supply chain disruption when it comes to coal, given the Swiss Canal accounts for just 1% of the overall coal. So they don't see any impact coming in terms of the coal, and they see a limited up risk coming in for Coal India. While the next stock is Natco Pharma. While this stock is in focus on the back of a new drug launch, while the company has launched Palmolido capsules in the US market, and they expect the product range to have an estimated benefit of roughly 3.2 billion market size, which they'll be targeting going ahead, while the launch strengthens company's oncological presence in the US. While the third stock in my focus is the Ola Electric. While the stock came up with a new Holi Mahotsav news where they say that they are introducing roadster range starting at 79,999, where they are giving the motorcycles at a competitive rate compared to petrol and diesel at a competitive rate of 79,999. While this is the reason stock is buzzing in trade today up about 3%, while if you look at the overall stock performance, the stock has beaten down 54% over a year. So it's a wait and watch how does the overall stock react in the coming day.
No, absolutely, and we'll keep watching out for that reaction. Really, Jasmeet, thank you so much for joining in with that as well. But it's a new age war that you're looking at. You do have allegations being made about Claude AI being used, a bunch of things that you're looking at. In terms of the entire new age aspect of it, in fact, let's take a closer look at how the cheaper drones, in fact, are changing the entire game. In fact, Shivarur breaks down exactly how drone warfare is rewriting the battlefield.
I want to show you just how cheap these drones are compared to more advanced drones that are used for similar missions. First of all, how do they actually change the game? They are low cost, which means they are expendable and there is no financial pinch. They are very, very easy to build. You saw that drone, a man was just manhandling it, which means they are elementary, they're rudimentary, they're simple and easy to build very quickly in large numbers at scale. Number 3, disproportionate capability for damage. You've seen the Shahids smashing into targets in different Gulf countries and causing untold damage, which means a $35,000 drone is capable of causing a geometrically more amount of damage than it was built for. It's cheap enough to deploy in swarms because the operator doesn't mind losing them. They can be sent out in large numbers. They deplete the air defenses of countries like Israel and others by forcing their air defense systems to constantly send out missiles to engage them. Therefore, you're depleting the enemy's air defenses. The attacker spends thousands of dollars. The defender spends millions of dollars. That is the mathematical key to how these drones actually work. Now let's show you a little bit about the figures. I showed you the Shahid drone, which is where this entire story started. They cost anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000 a piece. The Lucas drone, which was inspired by the Shahid and in fact was reverse engineered, is just slightly more costly at about $35,000. An Israeli suicide drone with similar capabilities called the Harop costs about $1 million. India operates these drones. Slightly more capable drones like the Hermes, which are more for surveillance, they cost about $6 million. The MQ-9 Reaper, which is the Rolls-Royce of attack drones, which are capable of firing missiles and staying in the air for extended periods of time, can you believe it? They cost about $30 million a piece. And then there's the Global Hawk, which is a very, very long range, very high altitude, absolutely advanced drone for surveillance purposes, costs $100 million, about as much as an advanced fighter aircraft. So where is $35,000 and where is $30 million? That is the kind of mathematics we're talking about, and that is the kind of range of prices we're talking about as far as drones are concerned. Now, a dirt cheap drone versus $1 million interceptor. I want you to think about this arithmetic as well, my friends. The cost of one Shahid drone or one Lucas drone is about $20,000 to $35,000, okay? The cost of one interceptor missile, one single interceptor missile that Israel or any other country will be forced to fire in order to intercept such a drone, costs anywhere between $1 million to $4 million. So you're firing a drone that costs about $20,000 and you're forcing your enemy to fire something as much as $4 million just to bring that down. The cost exchange ratio is 1:100 in favor of the attacker, and that is the advantage of such a drone. Iran's drone stockpile right now of Shahid drones is understood to be in the region of 80,000. Just think about that figure, 80,000 of those drones. The production capacity, 500 drones a month. Iran can fire 2,500 Shahid drones a day for the next 30 days if it has to, just to exhaust its existing stockpile. These are, of course, numbers that may come into question depending on the attacks that continue against Iran, but these are just some numbers to think about at this point of time.
Anothan, thank you so much for getting us that entire analysis, but that's all the time that we have on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in.
that brings together India's most compelling creative voices,
एनडीटीवी का क्रिएटर मंच है
where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया.
इट्स ओके यार.
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं.
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decision. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your automate.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bazaar ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single.
Good afternoon, you're watching Small Cap Bazaars on NDTV Profit with me Somit Sarkar and my co-anchor Mahima. In the next half an hour, we'll take you through the most important small cap stocks that have been buzzing in trade today, either on the back of price or volume action. Firstly, let's look what's on the show today. Firstly, we'll be speaking with the management of VFin Solutions. Now, despite maintaining a positive outlook for FY26, the stock is down nearly 24% on a YTD basis. What's the way forward is something that we'll be discussing with the management on the show today, so stay tuned in. Apart from that, we'll be discussing a host of stocks. Firstly, when it comes to sugar stocks, a sudden surge in trade, is it because of the war impact that is happening in the Middle East? Is that the reason, given the fact that Dubai and Iraq are set to have the world's largest and second largest sugar refinery? So any positive cues coming in from that front is something that we'll discuss on the show today. Apart from that, we'll be also speaking about Idea Forge. Now, that stock is up for the second trading session. Stock has gained nearly 10% in the last 2 sessions despite such a weak market. What could be leading this rally is something that we'll discuss on the show. Atul Auto, that stock is down 5%. Has the EV aggression slowed down or coming down for the company? Punit will give us more details on that front. And lastly, when it comes to Jindal Drilling, that stock has gained nearly 30% in the last 2 trading sessions. The stock has touched its 3-month intraday high, and if you look at the volumes, nearly 62% of the total shareholding has changed hands in trade today. So what's been buzzing here is something that we'll also discuss on the show today. Now, if you look at the markets, the Nifty has seen some recovery from the day's lowest point. It has gained around 150 odd points from the day's lowest point. It did manage to find some support around the 24,300 earlier, and then 24,400 has also acted as a support level for the benchmark, that is Nifty 50. Which are the sectors that have been leading the gains from the day's lowest point? Nifty Private Bank Index has seen some gains. Apart from that, it's Nifty Metal and Nifty IT Index, which is managing to stay largely flat as against the declines that we have seen in other indices in trade today. But when it comes to Nifty Small Cap Index, Mahima, what's been buzzing in trade there?
Overall, I think, Somit, if we take a look at the broader end of spectrum, the mid-cap 150 and the small-cap 250 both are down by about 2%. Slight recovery here also we're seen from the day's low points, but the pressure still persists to say the least. Now, specific names, as Somit was mentioning about sugar stocks, a lot of these names are buzzing today. There's Awadh Sugar, which is up 10%, Bajaj Hindustan up 9%, Ugar Sugar, which is also up 8.5%, Dwarikesh Sugar, which is also up around 8%. So, all of these sugar names doing fairly well in trade. Something like a Ruby Mill is also locked in upper circuit at that 20% mark. Somit also talked about Jindal Drilling, which is up almost 13%. Something like Bajaj Hindustan we talked about, but something like Premier Poly is also up by about 7 odd %. Solex Energy is also seeing gains of about 6 odd %, and PNGS Reva, the recent listing, is also fairly in the green now. But with regards to counters that are not doing very well, you have Orchid Pharma, which is under pressure, down by about 8 odd %. You have something like Veranda Learning, which is seeing a downtick of around 6.7%. Train Industries, as well as something like Lakshmi Organics, also seeing downtick of around 5 odd %. Kaveri Seeds also is seeing pressure in trade today, down by about 5%. Infobeam Tech also down by about 5%, as well as something like Ratan India Enterprises also seeing a downtick of around 5 odd %. So that's with regards to where the market stand, and with regards to where the broader end of spectrum stands. But as promised, we're going to speak to the management of VFin Solutions, and we are joined by Raja Debanath, the Managing Director at VFin Solutions, joining us now. Mr. Debanath, thank you so much for taking out the time. Overall, my first question, and this is a two-part question that we're trying to understand. We took a look at your Q3 numbers, and from that, I kind of wanted to understand with regards to margins, because consolidated margins were impacted this quarter on the back of lower margin services. Is this temporary or structural, is what you're seeing, first thing? And what is the sustainable range of margin profile that you should build in from here on, from a slightly long-term perspective? This, of course, being the second part of my question. Firstly, I would want you to give a perspective about the company to our viewers, because not a lot of company have heard about, not a lot of people kind of know about what you exactly do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. And you're right that this is a company which is usually seen in the background. Customers don't see this. We are a company which is in the transaction banking and digital lending space, providing technology to banks. So banks use the VFin solution to allow their corporates to transact transaction banking and digital lending businesses. That's what VFin does. To your point, in terms of the margins being contracted in our Q3 numbers because of services, yes, services businesses are something which don't have standard margins, the business that we are in. They will keep going up and down in that sense, and there's a range to it between 4 to 10%. That's the range that it remains at, the services business. But that's something which over a period of time you will start seeing a stabilize at around 7 to 8% on the services side. Our core business, which is VFin's core business, as I said, is transaction banking, software, enterprise solutions. That's something which will stabilize at around 40-45%. That's the margin range for the standalone product business. So for the viewers here, when you're looking at numbers from VFin, you have to split it between the product business and services business.
Okay. Mr. Debanath, the other factor, everybody today is talking about AI. You as, who operates that SaaS platform, just want to understand as to how are you kind of adopting AI and, providing it for your customers?
First is VFin is a SaaS price platform. VFin is not a SaaS platform.
Okay.
Slight difference in that. And AI is a boom for the IT industry. That's the way I would put it. Because we are going to see a huge, and we are seeing huge improvements in productivity happening because of AI. Now, that's a given. But what you will also see, and what the market is seeing, is companies are facing pressure with companies which margins or business is dependent entirely on seats. So if your margin or your revenues are based on the number of seats that you sell, that's where the AI is going to be challenging. So we are going to be seeing new changes in the pricing metrics, new changes in the pricing models when it comes to AI. But for a company like VFin, which is in, as I said, business of providing enterprise tech, AI helps us deliver products faster. AI helps us get to market faster. Those are the benefits for us. So we see a margin expansion because of AI when it comes to using AI. And the future is going to be not about whether you need software or not, because it's a given. Software will be needed, but how the software is going to be built is the question. The software is going to be built using AI. That's the way we see it. And we are embedding a lot of AI in our own products that we are rolling out.
The PSB exchange, can you just let us know what is this platform? How does it help your clients, and what is the kind of traction that you're seeing here?
So PSB Exchange is a platform which was launched by the PSB Alliance. Now, PSB Alliance is an alliance of the 12 public sector banks in the country. They wanted a platform which we now run and manage for them. This platform on one end connects the public sector banks as well as most of the MNC and private sector and NBFC banks on one side. On the other side are corporates, your sourcing channels, and various partners and SMEs directly who come onto the platform. So one connection on one side of the platform from the corporates or the SMEs gives them access to the entire banking ecosystem in the country. That's what the platform is about. And this platform right now has been launched for supply chain financing, but it will be eventually opened up for supply chain, trade finance, and all forms of working capital and term financing.
Recently, you also announced the acquisition of, I believe, White River Media. Is it a non-core investment or a non-core acquisition? Can you just explain the rationale behind the same?
So, yes, it is partly a non-core. It's an investment that we have done. The reason it shows up in our consolidated numbers right now is because we happen to have board control there. And that is the reason why it shows up. Otherwise, it's a brilliant product. As a company, it's a 12-year-old company, one of the most awarded companies in the country on digital. Soon we will start seeing changes out there in terms of how we showcase our financials so that our investors are better able to get a view of that business separately from our core product business.
Mr. Devnath, overall, if you take a look at how the numbers have fared over the years, as compared to March 24, March 25, you almost tripled your revenue. Just wanted an understanding as to how you're planning FY26 to end at, and what is the kind of CAGR growth that you're aiming at for the next 5 years?
We are a company based out of India, but we're selling globally. So this is a very large market when it comes to the business of transaction banking software for banks. So we have given a guidance in terms of where we're going to be ending this year at, and we will double the numbers from last year. So so numbers that we had tracked, we are in terms of hitting those numbers. We will continue seeing very healthy growth rates and managing very similar growth rates over the next couple of years at least. Because our pipelines, which are there right now across on the product side, are very, very strong. In our Q3 numbers also, we have shared those pipelines. A very strong pipeline at a global level. And not just across for supply chain financing, but across the entire transaction banking space.
Can you give us a perspective on that pipeline number that you're talking about? What is the number looking like, and how much of that gets converted in 12 months in one financial year?
So we have a $60 million pipeline, which we had shared. And that's the $60 million pipeline, which is the revenue will be earned by us over the next 5 years. That's the way to look at the pipeline. And this includes around 50 odd deals across the various products that we have. The way to look at these pipeline numbers is a year from now, we will start seeing 25% of these numbers getting into the P&L.
Lastly, sir, from my side, just wanted to check on the merger. What is the status here? Has the final approval come in? When will the amalgamation of the merger be effective from now?
We have received our queries from the BSE. We have answered those. SEBI queries have been answered. We are waiting now over the next maybe couple of weeks. We are hoping for the final approval from them before we move to NCLT. And then NCLT will take its own time. But the final date has been agreed as 1st April. So 1st April 2026 is the date of the amalgamation, and that date doesn't change.
Mr. Devnath, thank you so much for helping us answer those questions and taking out the time and speaking with us at NDTV Profit.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. We're now also joined by Abhishek Jain, the head of research at Arihant Capital Markets, joining us now. Abhishek, a very good afternoon to you. Any quick view on this particular counter, VFin?
So VPN is a very niche company right now, especially on the transaction side right now. There are very niche. It's a company which has been largely initially focusing on SCF side and now pivoting towards only from a supply chain finances into services and the investment phase project like PSB exchange and other products. I think the impact of this we have seen, there has been some margin deterioration where the core margins have been for the SCF is close to 50% plus, while the new business investments are dragging down the margin. However, the company has been taking, I believe, now the 75% plus pipeline is of the non-SCF products, especially on the cash management, trade finance, and loan management side. I think this can be an interesting story to play out for, and with the merger expected in next few days, as the management is guided, I think this will lead to a surge in earnings. We believe definitely at lower level for the high risk investors because it's a relatively young company. Should be there in some part of their portfolio. Can be definitely have a look.
Right. A sudden.
And they have,
right.
And their team has been very strong from the Kotak. The CEO and other people are there. So I think the capability wise, we don't have an iota of doubt on their execution side also.
Right. Moving on, a sudden surge in sugar stocks is something that we have seen despite a weak trading session. What could be the reason behind this? Is it the fact that Middle East holds the largest and the second largest sugar refinery? Could that be the reason? Let's get in Sharad to understand more behind this.
Well, yes, Somit, that might be one of the reasons also. But remember that the global crude prices are up, ethanol price up move is happening, and of course, the sugar-related theme is also picking up. Now, of course, the US sugar futures over the last two trading sessions, they have seen a good jump coming in, almost 14 cents per pound. That's the up move coming in. And the domestic sugar prices, interestingly, becomes at parity with the global prices. That means the exports become more viable right now. Remember, the ethanol production might be diverted from Brazil, which is the world's largest exporter. And because of that, the global prices are also buoyant right now. But why it is important for Indian sugar exporters? This is firstly because of course, the pricing which I spoke about. And it becomes more viable to export sugar-related products and even sugar to the neighboring countries as well. And the transportation issues are still there for the South American sugar exporters. And the Indian sugar exporters won't take the extra cost. That's what is coming in from the freights and the insurance. The Indian sugar industry is still the world's second largest exporter after Brazil, and the government has allowed roughly 15 lakh tons for the new season currently. But of course, because of the rising prices, the parity has done well for the sugar export themed stocks.
Abhishek, anything that you're picking up when it comes to sugar companies? Not much, I believe, fundamentally could benefit them in the short term, but still the stocks are up more than 5% in trade today.
No. So I would like to add one more thing which I one need to highlight is basically E20 mandate. The guideline has been mandated to the 1st April, which came last month. So that is also surging. We have seen this can be approximately for the structural growth. This will keep the ethanol prices higher for the longer period of time. And this has been announced last month only. I think this has also pumped up. There are multiple factors which are working. So obviously, because of the global issues which can lead to ethanol price hikes, speculation also. Also on the domestic side, the government has announced E20 mandate guideline, and this is something which is keeping both the triggers are keeping the sugar prices higher, which is obviously led to higher sugar prices. And we have seen global sugar prices also, future also rising, especially in the global markets.
Okay, got it. So that's the view coming in on the entire sugar pack. But it's time to look at the F&O space and setup and what are the cues shaping up right now. We have Sharad standing by to help us decode that. Sharad, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Mahima, for that. A minor recovery coming in from Sensex. Remember, largely oversold positions were there. That's what the options data was suggesting to me. But only Infosys, Tech Mahindra in the green and Bharti Airtel doing well as well. But across the counter, especially L&T and Tata Steel, the deep caches are there. Bankex also, the story remains the same. No major support coming in. All of the constituents you can see in the day's trade. Let's see what's there in the green. Let's see the long build-up. Solar Industries and Oil India make it to the list. It's a bit on the lower side. Solar Industries, but we are seeing a good volume pickup. Let's see the short covering also, which stocks make it to the list. And of course, there is a confusion here. Nothing much to look at. Long unwinding, let's see what's happening there. And SAIL, that's down 7%. Bank of India, that's also down 6%. Remember, there's a income tax of almost 600 to 700 crore demand coming in for this. Short build-up for Petronet LNG and Tata Steel here. These are the main stocks. We're seeing a major short building up. But remember, most of the F&O space is seeing major short build-up happening. And today, the sell-off is intensified, after the last two trading sessions. So yes, the sea of red today in the F&O space.
Okay, Sharad, thank you so much for helping us understand as to how the F&O cues are shaping up right now at this hour. But shifting focus, the other stock that we promised that we'll talk about is Idea Forge Technology. Now the counter is seeing strong market action with volumes spiking to nearly 10 times the 20-day average. And Jasmeet joins us with all the details as to what's happening there. Jasmeet?
Well, thank you for that. If we look at the overall stock performance, we see a good up move coming in on Monday, and today when the stock is up to about 2.5%, while the entire defense pack is buzzing in trade on the back of the overall global sentiment and the demand for the defense requirements. Now, in terms of this company, the company operates as a business of manufacturing unmanned aircraft systems, and company also recorded a record order book in Q3. That's roughly 440 odd crores of orders. In terms of use cases, the overall goods that company manufactures are used in civil uses. That's for surveillance and security patrols, while it's also used for mapping and applications of anti-terror requirements. Now, if we look at the defense book, the overall book of defense of this particular company, we have 12% only coming from the defense segment, but while the rest comes from civil segments. So it's something to watch out how the overall mix changes going ahead. In terms of the Q3 numbers, company did see a mixed set of numbers with the revenue did see a good jump of 78%, but the profit tanked. In terms of the overall commentary, management remains strong that they would want to convert 40 to 55% of their order book in Q4 going ahead, while they also see that they have gained 1 or 2 crore of order in Q3, which they expect to conclude by FY27. Further, lastly, they also said the overall gross margin is improving on the back of the change in the mix, where they are promoting more of high margin mix initially. So that's something to wait and watch of how does the overall order book pan out for the company going ahead.
Okay, Jasmeet, thank you so much for getting us those details. Abhishek, your quick view on Idea Forge?
Idea Forge, after last year defense, after India-Pakistan's skirmishes, we have seen there's been a surge in order book. We remember the company has an order book of 30 crore last financial year, and now it is at your team has been suggested at close to 400 odd crore. So that has been a jump right now. However, some old orders are likely to be executed in this. That's why the profitability has not come. But I think if someone has there are very few players if you want to play on the listed space, on the UAV space, and Idea Forge is one of them. So someone wants to keep some small bit of defense in their portfolio. This can be an interesting bet to play out for. But I see this stock is one can add in tranches rather than looking at buying in one shot, because they have recently it has run up from 20 odd % after the Middle East crisis.
Similarly, another stock which has been gaining in trade is Jindal Drilling. The stock is up nearly 30% in the last two trading sessions, and on an intraday basis, the stock touched its 3-month high. Now, if you look at the volume action here, nearly 18.1 million shares traded on both the exchanges, that is BSE and NSE. And if you look at the total number of shares for Jindal Drilling, it's close to 28.9 million. So nearly 62.5% of the total equity have changed hands or have traded on the exchanges. So clear intraday basis positions have been taken and squared off when it comes to Jindal Drilling. Now, what could be the reason also? There is some fundamental reason behind that, and that could be the rising crude oil prices. Brent crude is trading around $83 per barrel. Now, usually higher crude prices lead to improved drilling activity, and improved drilling activity also lead to higher offshore rig rates for the company, and that is the business of Jindal Drilling. Now, the company is a leading offshore drilling service contractor in the India's oil and gas sector. It has been into this business for the last 35 years. It has offshore jack-up rigs. Nearly 3 of them are owned and 3 of them are rented. And currently 5 of them are operating with ONGC, and 1 is under refurbishment and will come up for a renewed contract. So that rig could see a higher price contract going forward. So that is one benefit that Jindal Drilling could see going forward. Apart from that, the company also provides mud logging and directional drilling services to oil and gas sector. If you look at the current order book of the company, it stands at close to 1,200 crore rupees. And as I was mentioning, there's 1 rig which will be coming up for contract renewal. But apart from that, 3 other rigs will come up for contract renewal in FY27 end. So not immediate financial benefit, but if crude prices continue to remain at the higher levels even for the next 8 to 10 months, then these rigs could also see higher pricing going forward. The management has guided for a 350 crore EBITDA for FY26, and similar number is something that they have guided for FY27 as well. The net cash stands at close to 325 crore rupees as against 111 crore at the start of the quarter. Now, despite this rise in cash, the company is not looking to do any big buyback or dividend on an immediate basis because they are trying to conserve cash for the rigs that will be coming up for refurbishment and contract renewal. So they will be deploying the cash towards that, and then whatever will be remaining, they could look to give back to shareholders. Abhishek, have you looked at this counter, Jindal Drilling? I believe there won't be any immediate financial benefit that could come in because of the rising crude oil prices. But if crude prices continue to remain at higher level, will the company benefit?
Yeah, definitely some benefits are expected. Also, one of their new acquired Jindal Drilling Pioneer rig is also operational now. So that is also boosted the numbers right now. And as you mentioned, one of the rig which has been a refurbishment is going to be back. So obviously there is going to be some impact is there. Some positive impact is also there. And when we do some simple maths also, the stock is still, despite the rally we have seen in the stock in last 2 days, the stock, I'm not recommending a buy currently because this is something which is not in our coverage stock, but I'm just giving a plain numbers only. This is 350 to 380 crore of EBITDA numbers. If you take on the basis of management commentary also, the stock is available at 5 times, less than 5 times EV by EBITDA, 4.5 times EV by EBITDA, which looks interesting in the current market scenario with not a debt. And promoters actually acquired some shares recently in the previous quarter also. So that is also give a certain positive impetus to the investors also.
Okay, thank you so much, Abhishek, for giving us all those insights for all the stocks that we discussed today. But with that, we're completely out of time on this edition of Small Cap Buzzers. But do stay tuned. Ask Profit up next.
Stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है,
where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
first India tour in your city. Rug on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
Expert advice. The latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decision. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your Automate.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Welcome. You're watching Ask Profit, the afternoon edition here at NDTV Profit. I'm Mahima Vachajani and with me is Puneet Zaveri. And for viewers who are tuning in, you can go ahead and ask all your stock related queries to us on the WhatsApp number or even call us on the number that's flashing on your screen up there. But before we do that, let's take a quick look as to how the markets are doing. Well, for the benchmarks, the Nifty 50 has slightly, come off its day's low point at least that is a sigh of relief for sure. We're now above the 24,400 levels. For a short brief, we did slip below the 24,400 levels as well. So right now, we're now kind of seeing support on that 24,400 odd levels. The Bank Nifty also trading around 1.9% lower, although Bank Nifty has not recovered much from its day's low point, but trading around that 58,600 odd levels. The Nifty 50 heat map, if we can try to pull that out. In terms of where the pressure goes, it continues on counters like L&T, Tata Steel as well as Tata Motors, PV. All of these counters down in that range of 6 to 4% odd. But oil, India is still up in that range and still, holding its overall gain. Coal India still up around by about 2 odd %, and Bharti Airtel is something that's turned into green and has gained by about 2 odd % right now as we speak. And Infosys is the other counter that's doing fairly well. But with regards to where the sectors go, let's try to pull that up and see as to how sectors are doing. When we started, it was a sea of red. Yet again, it's still a sea of red. Metals tanking the most, seeing the most profit booking, down by about 4 odd %. Nifty Realty also down by about 4 odd %. PSU banks clearly seeing that profit booking and taking the knock, down by about 3.5 odd %. But Nifty IT largely flat at the 0.07 odd %. Barring that, everything is down below that 1% mark. Let's quickly pull up the advance decline ratio as well, because that would be indicative of how the broader end of spectrum is looking like. Still at that around 300 odd advances. I mean, if it's not mockery, I don't know what it is right now. Just 2,000 odd declines versus that of 300 odd advances.
And it continues to be that, you've not seen an inch here or there in that sense. So we are actually quite happy that the screen is restricted there, because you don't want that to increase much further from this point as well. But the mid cap and the small cap very quickly, reflecting the pain that we're seeing in the benchmarks today, and down almost 2.5% for the mid cap 150, and the small cap also down a similar point. Not seen buying too much at all in today's trading session. The BSE 500, while there are some gainers to talk about, like Sri Sugar, the Polymed, that's largely been the gainers for the day. But in terms of the losers, you've seen some reprieve for Rain Industries, was down 10% at one point of time, and so was Petronet LNG, but still a down and out trading session as well. But let me welcome in Narendra Solanki. He's the head fundamental research analyst at Anand Rathi right now on the fundamentals, and we'll also be joined by a technical guest very shortly. But Narendra, good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining in. Welcome to the show. Let me just take the first question and pose to you as well, and that's largely on Grow. Now, our viewer Madhva actually holds roughly about 385 shares, bought at 180. Do you have coverage on the stock firstly, and if not, any view that you have on that space?
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, definitely we do not have any coverage and recommendation on this stock. However, if you look at the overall business, the way the company has been growing and the strategy, so it's a good business to have for the long-term growth story perspective. Plus, the overall sector is also expected to show decent amount of growth over the period of 3 to 5 years. So I think from a sector perspective, it's a growing sector, and the penetration is also expected to increase further. Yeah, definitely the growth is there for 3 to 5 years long term.
Okay, all right. So that's the view with regards to where Grow goes. The next question is on infra companies. Capsite Infra and KNR Construction are the two companies that our viewer wants to know about. Abhishek, in fact, is asking this question. Should I buy or hold, is his question on these two counters. Do we have Kunal? Can I take this up with Kunal? Okay, we still don't have him. But Narendra, your view on these two particular counters, or broader end of spectrum, your take on these infra companies?
Yeah, KNR Construction, we have a hold rating, so we can continue to hold the stock for medium to long term. However, near term, the performance should continue to remain subdued. And is expected to pick up from next financial year onwards, when the activities and the bidding in the road segments continue to look up. So it's a hold from our side.
Hold on KNR Construction, a stock that's not done well for investors also. But let me welcome also at this point of time of the show Kunal Rambia. He's the fund manager and trading strategist at the Streets, who will be helping us with the technical side of things today. Kunal, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. First question posing to you on Kararo India. It's actually a small auto ancillary company. Sriram Raghuraman is holding shares at 325 and asking if there is, if it's a good time to exit this counter, or should he continue to hold. He's also asking if he can add more at this point. Any view on the charts, Kunal, that you can recommend for Kararo?
So if I look at the overall trend, it's still sideways to negative bias. I would suggest take an exit, because see, again, there are other counters which are showing good bottom formation, and there is some kind of recovery also, and which we have been suggesting on our channel regularly, right? So I would advise an exit for now, and wait for some kind of consolidation if you want to still continue with the same counter. Otherwise, go for the counters which are recommended on the channel.
Okay, all right. The next question that we have is on Motilal Oswal Financial Services. The average target price that our viewers bought it at is 764. Wants to know if it can hold, average, or what should be the course of action. Kunal, I'll stick with you for this one. Your view on the charts?
See, again, short term to medium term is a negative trend, but overall, if you look at the counter, it has not done much in the last one and a half year also. And right now, it's near to this round of support level of 700. So I will advise to hold for now. Don't average out the losing counters. That's very, very important for a trader to remember this. If the counter manages to go above 730, 35, then you can think of adding little more when the momentum picks up. But otherwise, for now, you can hold on, and the stop loss can be 690.
Got that view, Kunal. But Shankar from Bengaluru is actually asking the next question. And viewers, you can also actually call us, talk to us directly for stock-related queries as well. The number is flashing on the top of your screen. That will be the landline number. The one which is visible right now, of course, is a WhatsApp where you can send your queries as well. Shankar from Bengaluru actually asking a question on ITC hotels. He's asking if he can buy 100 shares right now. Kunal, would you recommend that? Because, it's been in a free fall in that sense, right? From that consolidatory 200, 220 mark where it was. What would you recommend right now?
See, the only thing which I can see on the chart is that now it's reaching the previous bottom, which was around 160. But rather than catching the falling knife, I'll recommend to stay away from this counter. Let the dust settle. This chaotic market is creating a lot of trouble in terms of volatility. Rather than just randomly buying at this level, let the price consolidate somewhere near the lows and then show some kind of recovery. Initiate buy at that time, though it is at the present level, which is good level, but I'll still recommend some kind of wait for it.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on ITC hotels. We've got our next caller. Pavitra is calling us from Hyderabad. Pavitra, hi, very good afternoon to you. What's your query about?
I'm holding CIE Automotive 47 shares. 494 is the price. So, is it good stock to hold or do I need to exit?
Okay, Pavitra, when you bought this, did you see the charts or did you see the fundamentals of the company while buying it? Okay, we seem to have lost her. But Narendra, any view on CIE Automotive?
I think she can continue to hold on to it, and we have a positive view on the company. And gradually, over the past years, they have not performed, but I think the business is picking it up and should improve going ahead. So I think she can continue to hold.
The next counter is RVNL, another one that's been not done well for investors at this point of time. And Lalita from Bengaluru, who is a regular viewer, is holding shares at 333. Kunal, coming back to you, should she exit this position, continue to hold? What would you recommend?
See, over a longer period of time, this counter was decisively holding on to 300 mark, but today it has actually broken that and it's now trading at 285. I would recommend an exit. Even if the counter recovers quickly and reclaims 300, I would advise wait in that case and revisit the channel and ask someone who is available if the counter crosses 305 mark. Till then, it's a clear exit.
Okay, the next one is on Wipro. Jayaprakash has bought 3,000 shares at the levels of 222. He's saying that it's declined around 20% for him. The stock is currently trading at 195. Holding Wipro is valid or should I exit is the question. Narendra, with everything that's happening in the IT space, with the AI concerns, would you recommend him to continue to hold Wipro?
Yeah, definitely. See the kind of negativity we have been seeing in the IT space. So definitely there are concerns in the near term. However, if you look the overall space, the companies have taken note of the emerging challenges and they have started investing into the AI-led developments. So there may not be an immediate upside in the next 2 or 3 quarters, but definitely from medium to long term perspective, it's a space where one can remain invested. And the green shoots from the AI investment would start coming 3 to 4 quarters down the line. So definitely, it's a space wherein one can continue to remain invested.
Got that view, Narendra. But the next question, actually, it's on a IPO that's open today on Sedemic Mechatronics, and our viewer, actually, Arvind from Mumbai, is asking a particular view. Narendra, I did see the Anurati note come in. Any view that you have that you can offer, Arvind, at this point of time for this company?
I think we have a subscribed long-term rating. So it's basically a electronic manufacturing services providing company which manufactures ECUs and provides to OEMs across industrial markets. So from valuation perspective, the valuations are fairly priced in. Hence, if the investor has a long-term investment kind of view, then only should subscribe and don't look for any listing gains, etc.
Okay, Infosys is the next one. Naktoda from Telangana is writing in. He's got 100 shares at the levels of 1421. What's the outlook for 3 months? Should I continue to hold? Kunal, your view?
Absolutely. At 1300, I'm very, very comfortable with this counter. It is consolidating now since 15 days, though the whipsaws are very, very high. But keep the support level of 1275 in mark, which can be a good stop loss also. And one can definitely initiate a buy at this level.
Got that view, Kunal. But the next question that we're getting in is on a very topical stock, Larsen and Toubro. And, our viewer, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Tabakti from Hyderabad, has bought it at 3851. So could be that he might have bought it today as well. And he's bought 250 shares. Now he's asking if he should hold on or sell out of this particular counter. Narendra, do you have coverage on L&T? And at this point of time, what do you recommend clients to do? Because almost 37% order book coming in from Middle East, and a lot of those orders, almost half of them fixed price. What would you recommend?
I think as far as Middle East concerns are there, so I think definitely in short term, the company may face some challenges. However, if you look at the longer term view, so I think the company should be able to face the challenges and come out on the top. But definitely, the near term looks challenging for at least 2 to 3 quarters. So if the person is not able to hold on, ride on that period of pain, then I think she can switch. Otherwise, can continue to hold if the horizon is more than 1 year.
Okay. All right. So that's the view coming in on L&T. We've got our next caller. Vishal is calling us from Mumbai. Vishal, a very good morning, a good afternoon to you. How can I help you?
Yeah, I want to know about ONGC. I'd actually bought it because I thought the oil prices were going to go up and it would benefit. But now the oil prices are going up and it's not benefiting. Like the stock price is not increasing. And today also it's lower. So should I buy more? Would it increase because of the oil price? And I also have Oil India. I have really less quantity of Oil India.
Okay, got it. Narendra, and his point of view is not wrong, right? But I think it's just the kind of way the markets are moving right now with everything in the red, and probably that's why you're seeing those moves coming in on ONGC as well as Oil India. But your view on ONGC?
I think you can continue to hold on to the stock. And as far as the logic is concerned, I think the oil prices should continue to remain at the upwards. What the markets might be at this point in time, maybe thinking that the sudden rise in oil prices may not be sustainable enough for more than a quarter or so. And once the war settles down, I think the whole lot of crude supplies would be coming down. Coming in the markets, and the crude price would again fall. So I think the longer the crude price remains higher, then only the exploration companies actually gets to get a benefit rather than the short volatile moves. But however, having said that, I think the volumes recovery should come for the stock, so you can continue to hold regardless of the recent volatility of the crude oil price.
Got that view, Narendra. But another caller now from Bengaluru. And Pramod has a stock query for us. Pramod, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. What's your query?
Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, I'm holding Titagar shares, 170 shares, total quantity, at the average price of 891.
Okay.
Right now, I'm sitting at the loss of around 42K.
All right.
Is it the time to average? Because I'm planning to hold it for the next 5 more years.
Okay, got it. Well, Narendra, do you firstly have coverage on Titagar as a stock? What would you recommend, a viewer, because he is sitting on a loss of almost 42,000 rupees. Do you cover this particular counter?
No, we do not have any coverage and recommendation on the stock right now.
Kunal, just trying to throw this your way, if you can help our viewer in that case. In terms of the charts, would it recommend or would it make sense to average it right now?
So, if you look at the entire rail stock rally, which we witnessed during 23-24, this counter, which was trading near 100 levels, went up to as high as 2000, right? And from there, it is now down to 650. And if you look at the price correction and time consolidation, it's been a pretty long time that the counter has underperformed. But even at the present level, there is no sign that the counter will stop its correction. Just like RVNL, which we discussed in today's show itself, I think this counter is also breaking its very important support level, which is 650. So on this coming Friday, if the counter remains below 650, it's going to be a cautious sign. I would not really advise average out. If the view is long-term, you can certainly stay invested because the longer-term chart is still showing positive trend. But the immediate trend is negative. So rather than averaging out, wait again for this counter to consolidate somewhere and then think of initiating a fresh entry into it.
Okay, all right. Now it's time for our rapid fire round. Kunal as well as Narendra, you both know the drill. Try to keep your answers as short as possible. The first one is on Jeevan Small Finance Bank. Vinay wants to know if he can continue to hold from a short-term perspective. Kunal, your view?
Yeah, it is a sideways consolidating, support at 53, continue to hold.
Apollo Hospitals bought by Govind from Dubai, and hopefully Govind is all okay at your end. He's holding 20 shares at 7550. Any view, Narendra?
No view.
Okay, 15 shares of Tata Elxsi purchased at the levels of 6350. Now sitting on a loss of 3000. Rahul wants to know if he can hold or sell. Kunal, your view?
The trend is negative, but near to the support of 4300, continue to hold.
Kunal, you had a view on Apollo Hospitals by any chance of our previous viewer?
Absolutely. It's at the support level itself. You can add even a little more with the stop loss of 7400.
Okay, any defense counter that I shall take fresh entry in is the question coming in from one of our viewers. Kunal, any particular counter that you're looking at?
I'm looking at HL. I think this counter can do good from here on. Keep the stop loss of 3800 and keep a watch for consolidation.
Afcon Zinc bought at 380. Kunal, it's been a downtrend for this one. What would you recommend Sunita to do?
It's an avoid for now.
Paras Defense, from a short-term perspective, the viewer is holding 50 shares at the level of 736. Kunal, your view?
Paras Defense has come down really good, very quickly from the today's high also. So it's an avoid for now. If the momentum continues, it's a buy.
James wants to ask a question on Kotak Bank. He's bought 100 shares at 420. Should he add more right now, Narendra?
Yeah, can I?
Interglobe Aviation, 20 shares bought at the levels of 5,300. What should I do? Rajiv is asking this question. Kunal, your view?
If the counter reclaims 4,600 in next 2 to 3 days, it's a hold, otherwise exit.
Concord Enviro bought at 420 rupees per share, Kunal. He's holding 80 shares. A 6-month view is what Giridhar is asking.
No, it's an avoid for now.
Zaggle is the next one. Kishore from Hyderabad wants to know the fundamental view on this particular counter from long-term perspective. Narendra, your view?
Yeah, no view right now.
Zaggle, any view, Kunal?
No, I would still avoid for now.
And Tata Steel also, Kunal, is it a good time to buy is what Biswajit is asking.
Tata Steel, this counter is showing good momentum, and right now in consolidation, near to 195, it can be a good buy. Stop loss can be 185.
KPI Green is the next one, 25 shares bought at the levels of 523. What about long-term view? Narendra?
Yeah, no view right now.
Kunal again, KPI Green.
325, strong support. You can think of buying near that level.
Any PSU bank, Narendra, that you like currently? Bank of Maharashtra is a question that Rajesh is asking, but anything that you might be in your coverage?
Yeah, definitely PSUs have been our preferred pick for last 3 to 4 quarters. So if the person is interested in large bank, then SBI is one of the banks which you can buy. And in small banks, the Indian bank is also big.
10-second answer, Kunal, because we are at 99 queries on IRCTC, a long-term view. Very quickly, because I want to complete the 100.
So IRCTC, as we discussed about other railway counters, I think this counter is also falling right now. If consolidates near the present level, it can be a buy.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Kunal. Appreciate you answering so many questions so quickly, as well as Narendra for your insight. But 100 queries, Mahima, we have hit that target today.
So Puneet did fulfill his promise.
I did fulfill my promise today, but that's all the time we have on this edition. India Market Close comes up next.
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है
Where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
For a year gave was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsaan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go, grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decisions. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your Automate.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen. And he is now bringing his analysis to the show that the market watches. Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company, a show that puts the most traded stocks under the scanner.
Welcome, you're watching India Market Close, and I would say maybe a bit of a relief for markets. Remember, the word relief is relative over here. As Alex and I will bring you the show. Neeraj will also join us in a bit. 341 points down on the Nifty. You'll be wondering why I'm saying it's a relief, because it's off by a mile from the low point of the day. So the Nifty definitely looking better, even at a time, Alex, that the news coming in from the Middle East war has been thick and fast.
Yeah, absolutely. If you thought that it would dissipate, well, you've been completely wrong. So at the start of today's program, let's talk about the 5 key developments that you need to bear in mind with regard to the war and what is happening right now. Iran continues to strike various targets with drones and missiles. In fact, the latest development could well be an attack on oil tankers. This is something that is just about coming through. We'll get you details of that in just a bit. Beyond that, of course, the election by an assembly of Mojtaba Khamenei, who is the son of the previous leader of Iran, and that has come through. Of course, there is an allegation that there could well have been certain motivations behind this. Let's leave it at that. Beyond that, certain other developments. Israel has struck Beirut. Remember, a lot of the proxies of Iran continue to be targeted by both Israel as well as the US. And beyond this, there is also an Iran vessel that has sunk off the coast of Sri Lanka. Apart from this, and this is very important to note, Iran says that it has complete control over the Strait of Hormuz. This is an important statement to make.
Yeah, you know, this I think the Strait of Hormuz is a word missing here, but Strait of Hormuz is what we're talking about. 10 ships have been attacked, so that's the new theater of war. So that's what's happening on the geopolitical front. Here's what's happening on the market front. Now, obviously, sell on rise strategy has followed in trade. There's no large buying action seen across the board, and that really is the pain point right now. Some defensive action was seen in select IT stocks, because think about it this way, as the rupee gets weaker, maybe there is some tailwind there for IT, and frankly AI fears don't look so big right now compared to everything else. Defensive rupee depreciation and cheap valuations play is the reason that you're seeing IT doing okay. Private banking names also saw some buying action at lower levels. Think HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, and remember, if you joined us this morning, that was something Parag Thakkar was talking about. Nifty could see a technical pullback after a 1,000-point decline in 3 days. The RSI has dropped below 30. That means it's now in the oversold territory. Support levels for the Nifty right now at 24,400, 24,300 and 24,200, and it's seen a 150-point recovery from the day's low, largely technical, as a sell on rise strategy continues. So there's no doubt about it, we're essentially seeing a pullback. Let me pull up the Nifty heat map for you as we're taking you through those details, and the Nifty heat map will show you that the only relief, if at all, is from some IT stocks. CIL doing okay, Bharti